People of the internet, welcome to Modern Day Debate. Tonight we are debating, is the Quran scientific? And we are starting right now. I am your host, Kaz of the Atheist Edge, and I am joined tonight by Nadir Ahmed versus Ghalib Kamal. Each person tonight will get 12 minutes of opening statements, followed by 45 minutes of open dialogue, and then 35 minutes of Q&A. And leading us off tonight will be Ghalib. So, Ghalib, at your first word, I will start the timer. You're muted, by the way. Can you hear me?
Can you share my screen, please? Sorry, I was on mute.
Sure.
Can you please share my screen? Yeah.
There you go.
So, is Quran scientific? It's a very good question because Quran is one of those books which is, revered by and respected by a lot of people around the world, more than, 1.5 billion, between 1.5 billion to 2 billion. So, what is basically a scientific fact? Scientific fact is basically a hypothesis or a prediction that has been confirmed repeatedly through observation and experiment. And whenever we talk about scientific facts and scientific theories and hypotheses, we talk about testability and falsifiability. So if any scientist makes us a claim, they give us a hypothesis or a scientific theory, then we can test it through an experiment, and that is basically testability. So one can make claims that can be testable and that are not testable. So usually the claims which have a scientific nature are testable, and we can come up with something scientific about those claims, and this is how it goes. So we can test them through an experiment or an observation. Then falsifiability is that whenever we have a claim that falls into the domain of science, then whenever you make that claim, you also give a condition in which that claim can be falsified. So this is how it is. But Quran gives us many vague statements. There are a lot of verses that Muslims think give us some scientific knowledge into of our cosmos, or of our universe, or the nature. But the problem is none of these statements are scientific in nature, as they don't give us a falsifiability criteria, or a testability is not provided for. A testability criteria is not available for any kind of Quranic statement, and that does not only fall to Quran. It is correct for all the other religious books as well. Muslims claim that there are many scientific miracles and facts in the Quran, but nearly all of these claimed facts are unfalsifiable and untestable, which does not make them scientific claims. Quranic statements, all these Quranic statements that people think are scientific in nature, basically they conform more to ancient mythologies and beliefs rather than modern science. So anything that we see in a Quranic statement in Quran that Muslims think that is scientific in nature is not scientific in nature. Actually, it's just conforming to the old mythologies. And anything that is mentioned in the Quran about heavens and earth and any other thing that we see and we think that is relatable to science is basically more related to ancient mythology. So this is Quran chapter 21 verse number 30, which says, do not the unbelievers see that the heavens and earth were joined together? So this is a claim that many a times Muslim scholars or the people who want to claim that Quran is scientific say that this is a verse that explains Big Bang. But I would beg to differ here, because this statement conforms more to ancient cosmologies and ancient cosmogonies. Like this one is a statement from the Song of Ho, that is most probably 1600 to 1800 BCE. It was a clay tablet that was discovered in the 19th century, on which the Song of Ho was mentioned. And in the Song of Ho, we can see one thing: Enlil, who will make the human seed of the land come forth from the earth. And not only did he hasten to separate heaven from earth. And this statement is repeated many times in many ancient cosmologies, but the Song of Ho is one of the most ancient mentions of this claim. So any claim that Muslims make regarding this statement, that Quran mentions Big Bang or Quran gives us some factual information about the nature of our universe, it is just a lie. It is just related to ancient cosmologies rather than this. Then Quran mentions sky as a roof, and in many ancient cosmogonies, sky is mentioned as a roof. This is on the right side, you can see a picture in which the ancient Israelite cosmology is mentioned, and rakia and firmament is the word that is mentioned, and the word rakia is used in Quran and many hadiths for the firmament of the sky as well. Allah is the one who raised the heavens without any pillars, and ye can see Quran chapter 13, verse 2. And when the sky is stripped away, Quran chapter 81, verse 11. And the day we will fold the heaven like folding of a written sheet of records. That is basically Quran chapter 21, verse 104. And all of these are talking about ancient cosmologies, where cosmogonies, where Quran, where sky is mentioned in somewhat similar words. Then Quran also talks about seven heavens and also seven earths, and that's also a very ancient theme that is found in ancient mythologies, especially the Mesopotamian mythologies from where it started. Quran chapter 37, verse 6 says, "Indeed, we have adorned the nearest heaven with the adornment of the stars." So now note this point here that Quran is talking about the stars existing in the nearest heaven. And then again, 71:15 talks about seven heavens again. And then Quran chapter 2, Surah Baqarah, verse 22 talks about who made from you the earth for you the earth a bed and the sky a ceiling, and sent down from the sky rain brought forth thereby. So in Surah Baqarah chapter 2, verse 22, we can see that sky is the place from where the rain comes down, and rain comes down today. We know that it comes down from within the atmosphere, and Quran is using the word sama for this place from where the rain comes down. And in the previous verse we can see, and many other verses in the Quran like this chapter 37, verse 6, that the nearest heaven is the place where the stars exist. So there is basically not only a scientific mistake here, there is a contradiction between these two verses. At one place Quran is saying that the sky is the place from where the rain comes down, and on the other place it's saying that the nearest heaven is where the stars exist. So is the nearest heaven the the place where the clouds and the rain comes down, or is it the place where the stars exist? Because this is a big question, and even there are a lot of other paradoxes that can be found in the definition of sky in Quran that we will discuss further in this debate. So then we have again chapter 37, verse 6. Indeed, we have adorned the nearest heaven with adornment of stars. Again, the nearest heaven is where the stars are. Then in chapter 22, verse 46, so have they not traveled through the earth and have hearts by which to reason and ears by which to hear. So Quran says that it is the heart that a person reasons with. Today we know that it is the brain that people reason with. And even in the ancient Greece, people knew, some of the philosophers knew that brain is the place where the seat of thought rather than the heart. But Quran continued this even 1,000 years after the Greek philosophers pointed this out and hinted at this. Then again, we see Quran says that meteorites are missiles that are fired at the evil spirits that go and try to hear what is happening in the sky. And again, we talk about the nearest heaven from where these meteorites are coming down. And again, there is a contradiction between this and that verse. So then again, Quran talks about in chapter 34, verse 9, that pieces of sky can fall down on people, which is quite stupid because we know that sky is not a solid thing, and what we see in the blue color that we see during the day is basically the refraction of light happening because of the water vapor in the atmosphere. And again, Quran thinks that pieces of sky can fall down on people, which means that Quran says that sky is a solid thing. And then there is a verse in the Quran. Sorry, I forgot to mention the verse number here. And we certainly sent our messengers with evident proof, and we sent down the scripture, and we sent down iron in which there is intense force and benefit for humanity, and that Allah may know who supports him, his messengers. So here Quran is claiming that all the iron on earth came down from the sky. But this is also an ancient belief that was even held by the ancient Egyptians. The ancient Egyptians said the name for iron in ancient Egyptian language is basically the metal of heaven. And there was a common theme that can be found in the pyramid texts and in the pyramid tablets, and that speaks that Pharaoh would ascend into the heaven by splitting through the metal sky. And this is pyramid tablet 257. It is also mentioned in pyramid tablet 469, pyramid tablet 584, and similarly it speaks again in a lot of other tablets about the king, the pharaoh, pushing through the iron dome of the sky and going ascending to the heavens. And and there it also talks about an iron door in the starry sky. That is also mentioned in pyramid tablet number 757 and pyramid tablet number 669. So all of this is mentioned there that we can talk about, and anything that is, most of the things that are mentioned in the Quran, and we think, and Muslims think that this is very scientific. All of these verses do not have any basis in modern science. Rather, all of this is based in ancient cosmologies, and all of these words that we see Quran saying, okay, we separated the heaven and earth, and the iron descended from the sky, and stars are shot as missiles onto the jinn to protect what is being talked about in heaven.
1 minute.
All of that is coming down from these ancient cosmologies. Most of that is, some of that is also copied from these ancient mythologies into the Bible, then it comes down to Quran. So all of this is connected. The religion of yesterday is basically the mother of religion of today. Anything, any mythologies that we find in the religion of yesterday is basically brought down into the religion of today. And Islam and Quran is no is basically falls under the same umbrella of these ancient cosmologies and cosmogonies. So most of the scientific claims that Muslims make about the verses of Quran are not scientific at all, but rather ancient cosmologies. That's all I had to say. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Ghalib. And we will turn it over to Nadir for his 12-minute opening statement. Nadir, at your first word, I will start your timer. Thank you so much.
Thank you for that presentation. So basically, he's just to get started, he said, "Look, Quran is not scientific because you see similarities between the Quran and what he calls ancient mythologies. But the Quran has already explained that. Let us go. In fact, I'm going to share my desktop over here and provides a clear explanation um, for why you see similarities. Okay, so let me go ahead and present my little screen over here and Windows. There you go. All you have to do, Ghalib, is just pick up the Quran and read the explanation inside Surah Nahl, verse number 36. It says over here, and certainly we sent to every nation on earth a messenger. So that messenger came with a message, and that message has now fragmented into the different writings of people. Okay, so if you see a similarities between the Quran and some ancient writing, that doesn't mean that the Quran is copying from that source. Okay, because let me explain to you. If you copy from these ancient writings, then you are going to copy along a lot of those scientific errors into those books. But what we're going to see tonight is that there are no scientific errors in the Quran. It is in complete harmony with modern science. And we'll go through each and every one of the examples which Ghalib mentioned. So, again, showing a similarities between the two books really proves nothing, okay? Because the Quran has already explained itself. So you see, the first, let me just jump into some of the issues which he felt were contradictions in science. And what you're going to find out is this Ghalib doesn't have a very good understanding of science. He said, you see, in the Quran, it talks about thinking with your heart. And this is science, and he claimed that this is scientifically incorrect. He said, look, it's found in the ancient pagan literatures. Yes, you can find thinking with your heart in pagan literature, but what Ghalib is unaware of is that this is actually scientifically correct. Today, modern science. I'm going to give you my. If you just look on your screen, please hit pause on your YouTube. On your YouTube thing just to get my references because I'm going to go through this very quickly here. I'm quoting from Heart Math, okay? It says over here, the heart brain neural circulatory enables it to independently of a cranial brain to learn, remember, make decisions, and even feel sense. Did you see that? This is what science, the latest discoveries in science. Let us go to this article. This was in the HuffPost. It says, what really is fascinating is that the heart contains a little brain of its own. Yes, the human heart, in addition to the other functions, actually possesses a brain. Can people think with their heart? Scientists have confirmed that this is absolutely true. Now, Ghalib mentioned in one of his videos, well, what do you have to say about heart transplant? Now, this is going to kind of freak you out. So let me just quote just straight from the references over here. Okay. This is from PubMed. This is from the government website over here. This is a very prestigious medical reference which I'm presenting to you here. People with heart transplant have reported that they have discovered personality changes following heart transplantation, which have been even reported for decades, including the accounts of the acquiring the personality characters of the donor of the heart. 4 categories of personalities changes, and it goes on. But basically, what it's saying is that they acquired the memory, the personality of the donor of that heart. I talked to a cardiologist about this, and he was like, "Yeah, actually, I know about this." He said that one of his patients actually told him that when he got a heart transplant, he said it felt like he got the soul of his donor. So as we can see, what Ghalib is presenting as scientific error, it's just copying from pagans. Actually, the pagans got it right. Science has now confirmed what the Quran has been saying here. He says, okay, you see, the Quran is wrong because it says that the earth has a ceiling. Therefore, the Quran is wrong. Then what does Ghalib have to say about scientists telling us that the earth has a ceiling? As we see from the following article, Astrobiology magazine. Life on Earth, what? Ceiling. Okay, so let's just do a quick Google search to find out more about why we say that the earth, why the scientists say that the earth has a ceiling. All you got to do is just go into Google. Can you guys see my screen? Just wondering.
Yes, we can still see it.
Okay, awesome. So weight of the atmosphere. There we go. About 5.5 quadrillion tons. I think that's a pretty big ceiling. So once again, we see Ghalib, and it's not just Ghalib, but all of these atheist people who try to criticize the Quran. They printed many articles. The Quran is contradicting science. But what we are seeing here is that the Quran is in word for word agreement with modern science. So as we can see, there is no contradiction over there. He said tonight that like the ceiling is falling, with a sky falling. This can't happen. This can only happen if the earth is, I'm sorry, the sky is solid or something like that. I believe was what he said. What does Ghalib have to say about life science asking the exact same question in the Quran? What if the sky fell? Well, of course, we know that the sky is like, what, 5.5 quadrillion tons? That's the weight of it. You see, to the layman, to the person who doesn't understand the science, he's looking up in the sky. He's like, oh, that's just all thin air. So once again, once you are properly and I'm going to go very quickly through these. Actually, I'm running out of time, so I'm not going to go any more into this reference over here. But as you can see from the website I'm quoting from, Life Science, it says all the oxygen, nitrogen, and other stuff in the Earth's atmosphere has a whooping combined mass of 5 quadrillion tons. And they ask the question, what if this fell on you? Word for word agreement with what we find in the Holy Quran. He said tonight that let's see, Big Bang Theory. I'm not here proposing a Big Bang Theory. Okay. And we've already explained that if you find some similarities between the Quran and what's in ancient mythology, this is just the Quran confirming what was revealed before. And then he said, you see, the Quran is wrong because it talked about all the iron. I think something about iron that Oh, okay. Actually, he never actually claimed that was an error, but just some copying issue. Okay, now he said, you see, the Quran is wrong for saying about stars near to the earth. This is you cannot say that. This is wrong from a scientific point of view. Then what? Where am I? Near. Here we go. What do you have to say about scientists? Now I'm quoting from the article over here. Scientists just discovered our stars, uh, our stars near. Hold on. Scientists just discovered our stars new to the nearest neighborhood. Once I figure out how to read. So the point here is, from a scientific perspective, talking about stars near to the Earth is perfectly fine. So let's look at another article over here. I'm quoting from, this is a NASA article. Yeah. Here they ask the same questions, where they're talking about 20,000 stars near to the Earth. So if scientists can say that, why is it wrong for the Quran to say that? So, and I think that is it in terms of what he believes, unless I have missed something here. Oh, I'm sorry, meteors being thrown. Okay, so from a scientific point of view, this is perfectly fine. He says, oh, this all contradicts science. Did he give you the article? Did he give? Actually, I'm presenting many articles here on my screen, as you can see. Did Ghalib present to you one single scientific article? No. So in what way does this contradict science? But anyways, we'll have some fun with him inside the cross-examination period. But just to go very quickly on what the Quran talks about inside this verse of the Quran, which it talks about that God will throw these, the Quran actually doesn't say stars. It said he will throw these lamps at these rebellious devils. Actually, there's a scientific miracle associated with that. And I actually do have time where I can get into that. So we'll look at that. But the first thing I want to also point out to you is that this is something now which God Almighty is doing as a miracle, that he hurls them as Satan, so at the devils. What does science say about miracles? Let's go to that article. We'll just type in here, miracles. Here we go. This is from the article, which I'm quoting, How Stuff Works, Science. This places certain topics beyond the reach of the scientific method. It's talking about miracles. Science cannot prove or refute the existence of God or any kind of supernatural entity. So when you say a God is hurling something at a devil from a scientific point of view, they're saying, look, we don't deal with these things because you're talking about gods, goddesses. No, that we are. This is where science is limited. Let's read another article from a scientist. This is coming from the Irish Times. He wrote a very good article in here. This is from Dr. William Revile. He says, because science has nothing to say about the supernatural world, it does not mean that it denies the supernatural world. Okay? He goes on to say that you really can't apply science to something of a supernatural. So when we talk about that God will hurl these lamps at the devils, in no way does this contradict science, because science is not going to touch it at all. Now let's get to that miracle, which I was saying about this issue. This is about shooting stars. So let's go there real quick. So as Ghalib was pointing out to you, that phenomenon which you see in the sky at night, where you could see like that little streak in the sky, people thought that was a shooting star. Okay, but it's not. Those are actually meteors burning up in the atmosphere. How much time do I have?
1 minute. Less than 1 minute.
Awesome. Well, burning up in the atmosphere, as we can see from this NASA article over here. So now this is something which the early Muslims actually believe, that those are stars which are being which are actually being thrown over there. So they asked Prophet Muhammad, so what do you have to say about those shooting stars? Now notice that's a trick question, because as I've pointed to you, those are not stars. If Muhammad is a false prophet, he would have said, oh, yeah, them shooting stars, let me tell you about them. He would have affirmed the scientifically incorrect statement. But now my time is up, but in the cross-examination period, we will see how Prophet Muhammad, did he fall into the trap? Or let's see what happens. So I guess that's my time, and I'm done. Thanks.
All right. Thank you so much, Nadir. And let me just go ahead and stop that timer. And We are about to kick it into the open discussion, ladies and gentlemen, but I want to let you know, especially if it's your first time here with us at Modern Day Debate, that we are a neutral platform hosting debates on science, religion, and politics, and we want you to feel welcome no matter what walk of life you're from. So if you have a question or comment for one of tonight's debaters, please fire it into the old live chat and be sure to tag me at Modern Day Debate. Super chats will go to the top of the list. All we ask is that you please keep it civil, and that goes for the general discourse in the live chat as well. Please attack the argument and not the person. Super chats and questions and comments that are attacking the person and insults will not be read, but if you attack the argument, we will of course oblige those. Our invaluable moderators are working tirelessly to elevate the conversation, so please show them and the debaters and each other the respect that each other deserve. Our guests are linked in the description below, so whether you're listening on YouTube or via the podcast, if you like what you're hearing, please feel free to check those out. So click those links right away. Hit the subscribe button because we have plenty more debates coming your way and you don't want to miss those out. So like on the 23rd at 5 o'clock, we have King Crocoduck and David McQueen. That's going to be coming up. Really juicy debate. You don't want to miss it. And with that, we're going to go ahead and kick it into the open discussion. And that format's going to be, I believe, we did agree on 45. What do we say? 45 minutes of open discussion, and we're going to do 2 minutes of alternating between the two of you. Is that correct? So
yeah.
I am going to adjust this clock real quick because that's a 2 right there. So I'm going to start the timer at your first word, but I'm going to also have another clock going that's going to be keeping track of your individual times. Who's going to go? I guess since Ghalib went first in the opening statements, we'll let Nadir take the first word.
Yeah. Okay.
So
unfortunately, the moderator said attack the arguments, not the person. So we took all the fun out of this. Oh, well. So, okay, I got to attack the argument. So, Ghalib, you said that, I wanted to correct you on your misunderstanding of science. The Quran talked about people thinking with their hearts. I have shown you from modern science, I've presented many articles on that we have recently discovered that the heart does contain neurons. The heart does do thinking. It even contains a lot of the memory. Now, a lot of the science we're still discovering as it is. So even though this is my 2 minutes, I want you to just take 30 seconds of my time and retract your statement that this statement contradicts modern science in light of what you just recently discovered. So just take 30 seconds of my time real quick.
So am I open to talk now?
Yeah, just take 30 seconds of my time and retract your claim that it contradicts science.
No, I wouldn't retract my claim because heart has only 40,000 neurons and the gut has 100 million neurons. Mm-hmm. And even your penis has 4,000 your nerve endings, So and we know that some people even think with their penis. Mm-hmm. So maybe that's what there is coming from, because there are neurons in the penis. I
actually
as well.
Knew that.
And secondly, you're saying, do you want me to address the heart issue now? Is my time starting now? Or
So let me go.
You just wanted my comment.
Let me just very quickly go through some of my points. I mean, I understand what you're saying about. Well, first of all, I never heard about
30 seconds
that that the male genitalia has neurons. So I'll ask for you to show a reference for some of the things you're saying up here.
I'll show you.
Yeah, okay. But the point here, that doesn't take away the fact that yes, people do think with their heart, as the scientists have confirmed. Go ahead.
Okay, can you share my screen here?
Yes.
So he's saying there are 4,000 neurons in the heart, and that is basically the link that you can see here. This is basically PublicMed, nih.gov. And then again, the gut has 100 million nerve endings, and you can see nerve cells, and you can see that this is from science.org. And then again, you can see that 4,000 nerve endings in the glands of the penis. You can see that ro.co health guide. You can see that there. But one thing that I would like to share here is basically this research article, which tells this is the only research study that has been ever done on the issue of heart transplant that he was mentioning there. And this study says in a group of patients showed massive defense denial reactions, mainly by rapidly changing the subject of making questions ridiculous. 15% stated that their personality had indeed changed, but not because of donor organ, but due to the life-threatening event. 6% of 3 patients reported distinct change in personality due to their new hearts. Only 6%. And basically this is because of a life-threatening situation that the personality of a person changes after a heart transplant, and this also changes after a heart attack as well. So this happens. But Nadir, you never talked about this contradiction in the Quran between the
30 seconds.
Surah Baqarah verse 22 and chapter 37 verse 6. One says uh, that the sky is where the rain comes down from, and the other talks about sky is where the stars are. And secondly, you talked about the ceiling of earth, ceiling of sky, and Quran says that in the below the ceiling the stars have been put. So are these stars below the ceiling or they are above the ceiling? Because this is a big contradiction. This is just nonsense. Yeah. So can you tell me that the ceiling
This
that
time.
you mentioned in one of your references,
Sure, no
are
problem.
the stars below that ceiling?
Yeah, no
The ceiling of the earth that you mentioned.
Okay, so what is been confirmed here tonight? Does the heart think? Yes, it does. Does a heart have neurons? I mean, I've already presented to you, many references showing that yes, we can think with our heart, and so there's no contradiction over there. But when you presented your initial presentation, you said, "Oh no, the heart cannot think." You said, "Oh, this is we use our brains." From a scientific point of view, that's not true. Now, the next thing about, well, I think what you're saying about the ceiling, I think I got just a little of that. Yes, science. I have presented to you an article in which it specifically stated the Earth has a ceiling. We even talked about the weight. It's 5.5 quadrillion tons. They asked the same question: what if the sky fell on the Earth? Now, where is when the Quran said that the Earth has a ceiling? Science says the Earth has a ceiling. Where is a contradiction in any of that?
Okay, should I
Ghalib,
talk
can you
now?
just take 30 seconds of my time to answer.
You are talking about the top of the atmosphere being the ceiling, right?
Yeah, I mean, it could be anything. Yeah, there is a
Yeah.
ceiling up there.
Then you what you are saying is actually scientifically wrong, and it has
Okay.
already fallen down on the earth. Why? Because all the atmosphere that is above you is putting 1 kilogram of weight on you. So if you are saying it has already fallen down and no one has died because of that, because the weight of the whole atmosphere is on my
30
shoulders
seconds.
and your shoulders as well.
Okay.
So
Well, okay. So the
yeah.
issue here is, okay, so you are admitting the sky does have a ceiling. You do admit
I am
now
not admitting
that
the
the
sky has a
sky
ceiling.
can
No.
fall on you. Okay, that's all I wanted to hear from you. So now I missed the point. I'm sorry. I guess my time is up. I missed the point about what you feel is a contradiction. So can you please very quickly go through what you were just mentioning like a couple of minutes ago and show me what you felt was a contradiction? Sorry about that. And go real slow so I can catch up. Go ahead.
So the contradiction I already told you is between the verses that say that sky is from where the stars are, and in another verse the Quran says the sky is from where the rain falls down. Okay, so basically this is a reply to his question. So my time should start after that. Okay, so then he's talking about.
Hold on. Wait. Yeah. I'm pausing the time. Is that okay with you, Nadir?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, I will pause the time until you answer his question, and then I'll push play on your time once you begin answering.
Should I go or?
Then now it's my turn.
I'm sorry. Hold on a second. Let's just clarify. He wanted to answer your question and then begin his time after he's done answering your question. Yeah. Is that all right with you?
Yeah, fine.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, then one thing that I told you was that there are 100 million neurons in the gut. Do you think with your gut? You don't. There are even nerve cells in the penis. You don't think with your penis. In the same way, you don't think with your heart. And the neurons and the research paper link that I showed you, you can go to that research paper and it will show you that the nerve cells that are in the heart are basically to respond to certain changes in the environment if a person is getting breathless, and that's how the nerves in the heart they are not for thinking. This is what I was mentioning. They are not for thinking. Secondly, you said if the ancient cosmologies are mentioning that the so and so things, and I can assure you that whatever is mentioned in the ancient cosmologies has been explained in detail. And wherever it has been explained in detail, like the sky is made of iron, and that is the iron pieces that are falling down, Egyptians used to believe that. Okay, so we don't have a solid sky of iron. Okay, secondly, Quran talks about the sky as being a solid thing. So when you say that Quran is this thing in Quran is not wrong, but rather the earlier revelations also showed those things, you would have to give me a proof that there were some earlier revelations, because this is an absurd Islamic claim that there were earlier revelations all around the world that conform with the Islamic claims. No, there were no earlier revelations. All the prophets that ever came were in the Middle East. Most of them, all of them were in the small region of Israel. And the last prophet that you claim was the Prophet Muhammad. He was in Arabia. There are no other prophets that came anywhere else. There are no other prophets. So you would have to show me that there are some other prophets, and you can tell me. Give me proof for those claims. Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna start your time now.
Okay. Well, so what you can do, you can write a peer-reviewed paper, and you can correct the scientists who say that we think with our heart. Okay, there's actually many references. Now, none of the scientists are claiming that, okay, you could think with your genitalia, but they do say you can think with your heart. Okay, so that is something which is scientifically proven. I think I've presented a lot of articles on that, and I'm actually just reading one right over here. Cardiac consciousness, can we really think with our heart? Whether neurons exist in other parts of the body is irrelevant. The question is, can people think with their heart? Can it store memory? Can it do the things which I've quoted for you? Yes, it can. Now, you said that the Quran is talking about a solid. Oh, can you guys see my screen, by the way?
Yeah. And hold on a second. No, one second. Let me add it now. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I think you mentioned that the Quran is talking about a solid sky. If the Quran explicitly states that there is a solid sky, the Quran is wrong. Simple. All you have to do is produce a verse anywhere in the Quran where it says that it is a solid sky. Scientists have already confirmed the earth has a ceiling and it's really, really heavy. And yes, it can fall on you. Okay, so I still have not seen where there's any error in what the Quran is presenting. It's actually all pretty much agreeing with science. And then you try to brush off the claim about Quran is confirming what was sent to the other messengers. This is absurd. Okay, but this is a logical fallacy of ad ridiculum. If we are to talk about what is absurd, we can talk about a lot of absurd things about atheism. Now you asked about the contradiction about sky. So the word there is sama. Sama actually has two meanings. It can refer to the immediate sky up above, but also you'll see the word sama mentioned in the Quran as talking about this above domain above the earth. So there's two meanings there, and I think that's why you're seeing a contradiction there.
Ghalib, it's your turn.
Yeah. So basically, the link that he's showing is not a peer-reviewed, journal. What he's saying that is basically a peer-reviewed journal. That is not a peer-reviewed journal at all. So I'll show you something that is there. Can you share my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Wait. Sorry, I'll have to. Yeah. So wait. I'll have to switch. So there is this article addressing, my God, it just goes off once again. Sorry, can you just let me adjust this and not count the time right now? Because
what's going on? I'm sorry, 1 second.
Yeah, I will have to share my screen once again because
something's going on with StreamYard. 1 second. Can you? I need to look at the live stream to see what they're seeing, because this is weird. On my end, it's not showing Nadir or your screen. Okay, now it's working again. Okay. All right.
Can you share my screen?
Yes. Are you able to see?
It's Nadir's screen. It's not my screen. It's Nadir's screen.
Oh, sorry. All right, got it.
So there is this article that talks about the heart contains far fewer neurons than noggin, and their job is not to think in the way that folks have misinterpreted. They help the heart react to various demands placed on it by the body. It doesn't think. And no one says that the heart thinks like the brain does. Quran says that reason with your heart. Heart cannot reason. Heart can only perform some very preliminary neurological operations. That's all. It does not think like the brain. So the thinking seat of a human's body is basically the brain, not the heart. This is what I am saying, and that's why it's wrong in the Quran, because you don't think with your heart. You think with your brain. All the analytical thought, the mathematics goes in your brain. When a person is doing mathematics, you can put them under an MRI machine and you would see that there is a neurological activity that is happening there. When they are thinking, when they think about things, there's neurological activity that is happening there. When you speak, there are speech centers in the brain, Wernicke and Broca's areas that light up, but nothing lights up in the heart. Heart is just pumping blood. It's just a pump. And then I told you, and he doesn't understand the idea of this, that there are more neurons in the gut, and you don't think with your gut. If you say that there are neurons that make you think in your heart, that's just absurd. It doesn't prove anything, and he hasn't shown any peer-reviewed papers. He's shown some links that he has put in a file. That's all. That's nothing more than that. And still, the other thing is pending. He hasn't given me any kind of proof that all of those ancient cosmologies that I showed are related to in any way to the Abrahamic religions or the prophets.
That's time.
He did not give anything. Yeah.
I didn't get your last point. What was the last point? Just very quickly.
You didn't give me any kind of proof that the Epic of Gilgamesh or the Song of Ho was basically from a prophet. Give me proof and I'll breathe, because the burden of proof is on you,
address that.
Nadir. It's not on me. It's on you.
Sure, I will address that. Okay, all religions make claims. Okay, they make supernatural claims. From a scientific point of view, you don't have to demand it. Prove me this, prove me that, prove me that. No, look, the Quran is making a claim. You can accept it or reject it. But from a scientific perspective, if the Quran said that it has sent messengers to every nation of people, then from a scientific point of view, this is perfectly acceptable. You can make whatever claim you want. There is nothing in science which says, oh, you have to reject it and it is false if you don't show me proof. This is atheist pseudoscientific quackology, not modern science. Now, I'm not accusing you of that, but I'm accusing some other people of making these false claims. So no, we don't have to show you any proof. This is what the Quran teaches. Now, you can definitely ask, where is the proof from the Quran? That's perfectly fine. Where is the scientific evidence proving that it is a scientific miracle? We got no problem of proving that. Now, let me just share, let me just go ahead and share my link over here. You quoted a Medium article. Okay, so that's not peer reviewed. Okay, so here I am quoting Heart Math Institute over here. Now, this is what they say. Okay, it says over here, the heart brain neural circulatory enables it to act independently of the cranial brain to learn, remember, make decisions, and even feel sense. So what you need to do now, you need to author your own peer-reviewed article, submit it to the scientists, and say, look, what you're saying is all wrong. This article's over here, they're all wrong. You cannot think. Look, your gut has so many neurons. Your penis has so many neurons. Submit your article, and when the scientific community accepts that, then I'll say, okay, fine, I'm wrong. We're all wrong. So the issue here, I think, let us move on to now some of these other alleged scientific error claims, because I think we've kind of exhausted this one. And I would like to know, let's go back to the issue of sama. You said there is a contradiction there.
Just 2 minutes.
So why don't you go ahead? How long? I'm sorry. Yeah, so go ahead and bring up your issue that the sama or something like this is contradicting. Go ahead.
So you want me to address the previous issue again and not this one? I have addressed it 2 times before.
Okay.
You want me to
did you hear my response? Did you hear my response?
That's going to be your time, not my time.
Okay. Well, my response was sama has 2 meanings in the Quran. It refers
and
to
the
sky,
other one,
and it also can refer to a domain, this outer domain out there.
But that's
space.
your translation. That is not the translation of any of those translators that are on Quran.com or in Quran Excellent.
No, they do. They do.
No. It's not.
Okay.
It's not.
Would you like
in
me
reference
to show you?
to the verses that I mentioned? No, not at all.
Okay. What?
I challenge you to show me the other meaning in reference to those verses that I showed.
Okay, but
Should
you
I
do
give you the
understand
number again?
sama.
Should
The
I give
word
you the number again? Should I give you the number again?
Ghalib, do you understand the
Because
word sama
no,
in
you
Arabic?
don't. You know,
Okay, you
Nadir,
probably
you are taking it out
Mhm.
of this format as well.
Mhm.
So you want it to go like this?
Well, I was
Because I can
asking
do
you a
it. I can do
question.
it. I can do it. Yeah, I can
No,
do it.
my
I
question
can
to
do
you,
it.
Ghalib, is do
Maybe the
you
moderator wouldn't
understand?
have any problem with this.
Okay, what is the
Yeah.
question, Ghalib?
The question is that he is saying that there are two meanings of the word sama,
Yeah.
and I am challenging him to show the other meaning in those two verses that I mentioned to him. So, do you accept the challenge, Nadir?
Well, yeah.
Let's give him
Well,
2
no
minutes to
problem.
answer.
Whenever the
So,
words, yeah,
so you
whenever the
can
words,
open,
yeah.
So you can open Surah Baqarah, verse number 22, and chapter 37, verse number 6, because both of them talk about sama, and one talks about a sama from which the rain comes down, and the other one talks about the sama from where the stars are. So Quran is basically confused about this, because Quran is thinking that sama is something from where the stars are, and then again the Quran is confused that sama is somewhere from where the rain is coming down. So are
What?
the stars at the same place from where the rain is coming down? Can you say that?
No, of course not. But I don't think the Quran is saying that. So
Then
what was
Quran
the
has
first
a
verse?
contradiction, because Quran doesn't know what the sky or the sama is.
Okay,
This is
what's the
what I'm
first?
telling you.
What's the first verse you were talking about? I didn't get that.
I was talking about Surah Baqarah, verse number 22, and
Okay.
chapter number 37, verse number 6.
Okay.
One talks about sky as a place from where the rain comes down. The other one talks about sky as a place where the stars are. And stars are in space. Rain comes down from within the atmosphere. Clouds are not even 10 kilometers high in the sky.
Okay.
Most of them.
Can I share my desktop here real quick? Okay, so let's look at these verses. Whether the Quran contradicts itself.
But should I put one more question to you before that?
Let's do this one, then I'll let you
Because
put the question.
you are breaking the format here. You're breaking the format here. You had
Okay,
your 2 minutes.
okay, guys,
I
let's go
didn't
back
have
to
my
the
2 minutes.
format. Let's go back to the format. What we're gonna do is I'm gonna give you, Ghalib, 1 more minute, and then we're gonna go back to 2 minutes. Okay, so let's do that.
No, but the problem is
Because-
that he wanted me to. That's why I asked earlier.
If you
He
want to ask
wanted
him
me to
questions,
answer
then
that.
you're gonna have to give away your time. If you want to ask questions during
Okay,
your time, because that's
so-
what he did. He gave away his time
Yeah.
to ask
Yeah.
questions during his time.
So
I'm gonna-
I will just refer to one more thing. This is chapter number 38, verse 71 and 72, that talks about man being created from clay. And this is also a very ancient claim. And in Quran, it talks about only Adam being created from clay. But in Epic of Gilgamesh, you can go to this myths of Mesopotamia creation flood, and the page is basically page number is 16, and you can see that there is a goddess that creates humans from clay, and she creates humans in a way that she creates 14 males and 14 females. And they don't even have the problem of incest between the sons and daughters of Adam and Eve, because the ancient Mesopotamians were even more intelligent than Quran, because they subverted or they averted this issue of incest between the sons and daughters of the first created people. But Quran has this problem, and Islam has this problem, where there is sex between the sons and daughters of Adam and Eve. So
okay, let's go ahead and kick it back to Nadir now.
So
for,
can
2 minutes.
he tell me why we have this problem?
Okay,
Isn't
so
the Quran, isn't the ancient
yeah.
cosmology more intelligent than Quran?
Okay.
Yeah.
The Quran doesn't talk about sex between siblings. There's nowhere in the Quran which it talks about that. Let me go ahead and share. Can you guys see my screen?
Now we can.
Oh, can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay, so here's a verse which you quoted. As I was telling you, you asked me to, you put some challenge before me. Yeah, I mean, sometimes sama can refer to sky. Sometimes it can refer to just this heaven, this realm above our earth. Now, here is this website. It has 62 different translations of the Quran. Let's Control F. Control F, SKY. Yeah, some of them translated as sky. Let's Control F and go to heaven. Yeah, some of them do translate it as heavens, which is I'm trying to point out to you that you will find in the translations, as you can see in front of you, sometimes it could refer to sky, sometimes it can refer to heavens. Now, that was chapter number 20, Surah 2, verse 22. What was the other verse you quoted? I'm sorry, I didn't write that down. Ghalib, can you quickly tell me what that other verse
but
was?
you should. The other verse was this one is the Surah Baqarah. So other is chapter 37, verse 6.
37. Okay, verse 6. Okay. Well, okay. Well, I want to go very quickly once I get this verse up here.
Okay, should I show it for you? Should I show it for you? Should I show it for you?
So once again, we see the same issue. Sometimes it's called heavens. Some of the translators refer to it as sky. So it has this interchangeable meaning. Now, these are 62 different translations, and that's my point to you. So I don't think there's any contradiction there. But going back to your point about the clay, this is actually, from a scientific point of view, is acceptable. There is an article over here in the quoting. This is a Daily Mail article. I should have went to the actual reference here. It says, new theory is that clay is a breeding ground for chemicals which is absorbed like a sponge, which eventually leads to proteins and DNA forming. Here, some scientists were actually pointing out that the Bible is right about us being originated with clay. But like I said, my time is up. I have more to say about this, but I'll go ahead and let you respond.
Okay. But still, you are still stuck at that point. You are talking about sky and heaven, and you're trying to differentiate between sky and heaven. Quran does not differentiate between sky and heaven. And the words sky and heaven are not used in Arabic. It's sama. How do you differentiate that one sama means sky and the other one means heaven? And even in English, both things mean the same thing. It doesn't make a difference. The claims that you made, all these solutions that you tried to give, do not make any difference in that way. So still, the problem is still there. It's not going anywhere. It's still there. You haven't been able to answer this. And now you are showing us some Christian websites, and you're mentioning evangelical Christians as, yeah, this is what you're doing, Nadir. This is what you're doing. You're not showing us any peer-reviewed papers. And then you're saying that, okay, clay gives life. Okay, yeah, there are microorganisms. Humans are not created from microorganisms. Humans and you say, your Quran says that humans are made from clay, and it also talks about man being created from clay and then everything following from that. So it does not give us any specifics. Secondly, you talked about that how do you confirm things. So, and you said that there were some scientific things in the Quran, but the problem is, what is the falsifiability criteria for Quran, and what is the testability criteria? There's no criteria. All these verses that you are telling is just claims, and the burden of proof is on you, not on me. Not on me. It's on you. It's on you. Clearly on you. So give us proof that these two skies, the skies that one from which rain comes down, and the other one that is where the stars are. Give us a difference between them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I think the burden of proof is upon you to show that there is a contradiction. The burden of proof is upon you to show that one is referring to only sky and can never refer to anything else, never can refer to heavens, and which you cannot do, because I've already shown you 62 different translations. They all translated different way, heavens, skies. So I think you have been refuted over there. The burden of proof is not upon me to do anything here. Okay, well, and this is kind of referring to does the Quran contradict itself? It's a little bit off of science. I don't mind doing it, but I want to get back to this issue of modern science. So the article, actually, the Daily Mail is just your general news article. Okay, that is not a Christian website. But the main problem,
that's not peer reviewed.
The main problem is what you are saying is when Allah talked about He created Adam from clay. This is talking about a miracle. Once again, a miracle is something which is supernatural, which we, as I've shown you from the references, it does not. We cannot apply science to miracles. Only fools do that. The issue about who Adam was a miracle created by God, and so nowhere does the Quran saying that that Adam was created naturally. Adam was created supernaturally. So this is something we have to make a distinction in the Quran. Is this talking about naturally happening, or is this talking about something which is supernaturally happening? So you are once again attacking a miracle claim of the Quran, and so there's no way you can prove a scientific error over there. Now, you did ask about the falsification. I want to get onto that, and I will show you very quickly an easy way to show how the Quran is to be falsified. I will challenge you here today to produce one peer-reviewed, documented scientific article which contradicts a verse of the Quran. Take the verse of the Quran, show the article. We don't need your explanation, and show a contradiction between the two. Because we saw a lot of articles which actually do agree with the Quran about the sky falling,
That's
having
right.
a ceiling, hard thinking. Go ahead.
Yeah. So miracles, you are saying you cannot give proof for miracles. Yeah, that proves that basically Quran is unscientific. When it talks about a miracle and cannot give proof, that means it's unscientific, because anything that cannot be given proof of is basically unscientific and stupid. That's all. And you said anyone would be fooled to ask proof for a miracle. Yeah, that's why only fools believe in the miracles. That's why the only fools believe in the miracles. Secondly, you also talked about this heaven, and you said that stars are in heaven. Do you agree that stars are in heaven?
Yeah, exactly.
And that stars are in space. So this means space is heavens, right?
So the heavens is a domain within space.
Yeah. So basically, space is heavens, and stars are in space. So what the hell is the earth in? Because it is also in space. So why don't you say that earth is also in heavens or the skies? That's
The
so
earth is in the
absurd.
lowest heaven. Yeah.
No, earth is not in the lowest heaven. Where does it? I challenge you to give me a hadith or the Quran that says that earth is in the heaven.
Oh,
I
okay.
challenge
Well,
you. Do it right now.
Yeah. Well,
Do it right now. I'm not asking for
yeah.
a peer-reviewed paper. I'm asking
Yeah.
for a hadith or a tafsir or a Quranic verse. Anything, anything goes. Give me one.
Yeah. So, Sean, we're going to answer real quick. So it kind of doesn't matter, because the whole issue about saying that there's a heavens up there, there's 7 heavens, in no way does this contradict modern science. No way does it contradict any kind of thing which we know today of science. These are the heavens which I am referring to. These are the domains which exist out there somewhere in space. Now the question is, okay, you got the 7 heavens, but is
15
that all?
seconds.
Is there something more to it? The Quran doesn't state any of this. Now, you made some claims that only fools believe in miracles. Miracles is not proof. This is unscientific and stupid. But this is not the position of the scientific
It's time.
community. This is atheist pseudoscientific quackology. There's a difference between the two.
There is no atheist science or pseudoscience. That's just stupid to say that. Secondly, again, Earth is in the same space that the sun is, and the Proxima Centauri and the Alpha Centauri are. So Earth is also in the heavens, and Quran never tells us that. Quran says that Earth is flat. Earth is flat like a bed. Quran says that, and and Quran never says that Earth is in the same heaven as the stars are, because Proxima Centauri is somewhere very far away, very very far away, 4 light years from us. 4 light years from us is where Proxima Centauri is, and basically rain comes down from within the atmosphere less than 100 kilometers from us. Even less than 10 kilometers from us is the place where the clouds are. So do you think that the same domain applies to the atmosphere and also to 4 light years away from us where Proxima Centauri is, or 8 minutes away from us where the sun is?
Oh yeah. So basically,
and why is the lowest heaven the place where the stars are? Because the lowest heaven, according to this logic, should be from where the rain falls down. Allah should mention that the lowest heaven is there from where the rain falls down. But Allah is saying, okay, the lowest heaven is where the stars are. So this is basically, this is so confusing. This is so. And secondly, again, about the miracles, we don't believe in miracles because there's no proof for that. You would have to give us evidence for a miracle to make me believe. You're debating with an atheist. You are not debating with a Christian here. Maybe you're under the impression that you're debating with a Christian. I'm not a Christian. I'm an atheist. Give me some scientific proof that so and so miracles happened. You cannot give me.
Yeah, well, see, so the problem here is, okay, I understand atheists will not accept miracles, but I'm not here to convince atheists that miracles exist. I'm here to talk about from a scientific perspective. From a scientific perspective, they do not confirm or deny miracles. Now, I have already presented to you many references, 2 references in which they talked about the supernatural. I will quote to you those again if you want me to. Well, it's stated very clearly that science has nothing to say about the supernatural. I'm quoting that. And I've quoted to you, I think, two references, one from How Science Works, or I'm sorry, How Stuff Works, and from Dr. Revile. So this is a scientific position. Now, atheists, of course, they're going to deny miracles. But that's okay. I'm not here to convince them. We are here to discuss science from a scientific perspective. Now, you said the earth is flat, that the Quran states that the earth is flat. Hey, listen, if the Quran states that the shape of the earth is flat, you can show me that ayat, I will say Quran is wrong. Very simple. All you got to do is just show that. Now, I'm going to answer your challenge where you wanted a falsification. So, we have seen many articles today agreeing with the Holy Quran. But my question for you, can you produce for me one scientific journal, one reference from science which shows that there is a clear contradiction? Like, for example, what I have over here. The Roman physician Galen said blood formed in the liver. However, I can present to you from hematology.org. Red blood cells start as immature cells in the bone marrow, not the liver. Notice the irreconcilable contradictions. I can literally take a statement of science right
30
here
seconds.
and juxtapose it with this ancient Roman physician Galen, and you can see the contradiction. So there's a falsification test, and I will challenge you now here today. Do the same thing as what I have just shown you with the Holy Quran. And if you cannot, then explain why you cannot. Go ahead.
Okay, so can I share my screen just for one more second here? Yeah.
Sure, go ahead.
So I'll need to ask one question to him here. So this is chapter 21, Surah Anbiya, verse number 30. It says, "Do not the unbelievers see? O lam yarallazina kufruwa." Do not the unbelievers see? Here it is talking about seeing the separation of heaven and earth. Okay, Quran is talking about the separation of heaven and earth. So I want you, Nadir, to tell me that who were the unbelievers who saw the separation of heaven and earth, because this is so stupid here. This is so stupid here that Allah is making a claim that unbelievers saw the separation of heaven and earth. Allah is making a claim that Abu Jahl and Abu Sufyan and all the unbelievers in Makkah and Medina had seen, or some other unbelievers had seen, the separation of heaven and earth. So can you give me a rational explanation of this? Because this seems to me an extremely absurd and stupid claim. Just an extremely absurd and stupid claim. This is why I say that Quran is not scientific. It talks nonsense. If a person would say that, Nadir, if I would say, Nadir Ahmed, didn't you see the separation of heaven and earth? And you never saw that. This means that I'm lying. So Quran is basically lying here. Quran is basically lying here. And secondly, I talked about those two verses that contradicted, explaining the two different places as sky. You know, what does the contradiction prove? The contradiction only proves that you are a liar. Because if I say in one sentence that I am a man, in the next that I am a woman, and I'm contradicting these two statements are contradicting. They don't prove either that I'm a man or a woman. They only prove, the first thing that they prove is that I am a liar. So Quran is basically telling lies in this one and that one too.
Yeah, so I think referring to the last point you made, you were refuted by, I showed 62 different references. 62 different translations of the Quran. Each of them translate the word sama as either sky, or it could refer to heaven. Sky or refer to heaven. So what I'm showing you over here is that, the word actually has two different meanings. The word sama doesn't mean sky all the time. So you then kind of shifted the burden of proof upon me to try to prove that this can only refer to, no, that the burden of proof is on you to make to show this. But this really isn't a science referring, talking when you're trying to point to a contradiction of the Quran. Okay, and then we can have that discussion. I don't mind, but I feel that's a little bit off topic from the issue about science, when we're trying to have a scientific discussion. Now, he tried to point out the verse that do not the unbelievers see, and he says, what unbeliever? What do they see? So what he's doing, he's trying to say, this doesn't make sense to me. Okay, that's fine. The verse doesn't make sense to you. But this is not the topic for tonight's debate. Does this trying to convince and handhold Ghalib through all these issues and say, look, this is what it really this has nothing to do with as terms of contradicting scientific fact. I came here to discuss and debate that. Where does the Quran contradict modern scientific fact? I didn't come here to try to convince Ghalib, try to make sense of the Quran to him. We could have that discussion, but this is not the time and place for it. So I will renew my challenge to
30
you.
seconds.
Remember, I have asked you tonight, show me one article, a peer-reviewed from documented scientific, which contradicts the Quran in the same fashion like how I showed you. Take the verse of the Quran, take the scientific article, show us a contradiction. Can you do that today? Please do.
Quran contradicts itself. Quran proves itself that it's a liar. And the question is that is Quran scientific? No, Quran isn't scientific. Quran is a liar. Yeah, it is. Quran follows the ancient cosmologies. Yes, that's it. And you said that science says nothing about the supernatural. Yeah, science says nothing about the supernatural because basically whoever makes the claim, that person or that body has to have the burden of proof. That is the main scientific thing. And when you make claim that Quran is scientific, you would have to give us proof of the scientific claims that are made in the Quran. And you are saying that give me a paper that contradicts with Quran. Quran contradicts with itself. I told you that Quran is talking about two different places as heavens. One is within the atmosphere and the other one is 4 light years away. That's basically so stupid, and you haven't been able to answer this so far. You are just running away, and then you are saying that it doesn't matter, you don't need to prove anything to me. Yeah, so who do you want to prove anything to? Because there are 3 people here in this panel that are talking right now. So the moderator is there, you are not proving anything to him, he's neutral. Yeah, but you are proving something to the audience, and you are not doing that. You are not trying to prove it to them that the word heaven or the sky or the word sama in Quran makes any sense. This is my claim, that Quran is not scientific. Quran is nonsense. And that proves it, that two different parts of
30
the
seconds.
universe are being are explained using the same word, and it doesn't make any kind of sense at all. That Quran is not scientific. Quran is nonsense. This is what I'm saying. Yeah.
So, I think we're getting back to the point where you need to convince me that these verses and try to make sense of these verses to you personally. That's not what I'm here for. I'm here. The reason why I have accepted the challenge for this debate tonight is because I wanted to see where does modern science contradict the Quran, not make the Quran make sense to Ghalib. Ghalib thinks it's stupid. Ghalib said, you better show me proof for all these claims that you're making. This is atheist pseudoscientific quackology. From a quackological point of view, the Quran is wrong, I will admit. But from a scientific point of view, from a modern science point of view, this is perfectly acceptable to make claims, not having to all the time state your proof and evidence under every verse. From a scientific point of view, this is perfectly acceptable. There's no problem that they have with this. You had a problem with science saying nothing about the supernatural. Now, what you are doing, you are actually attacking the science itself. Okay, you are trying to improve. You're trying to impose atheist pseudoscientific dogma on the scientific community here. But so let it show for the record tonight. I have repeated my challenge 3 times. Show me in the Quran where it contradicts documented scientific fact. Ghalib was not able to do so. Okay, and this is something very unusual about the Quran. We see a lot of verses which do agree with science. Sky has a
30 seconds.
ceiling. We talk about skies falling, things like that. That's actually, we can see word for word agreement with modern science. But I will repeat my challenge for the last time. Show me, just give me a peer-reviewed or some kind of scientific journal. Take it and juxtapose it with the Quran, like how I just did, with that statement of the one guy, and show me a contradiction, Ghalib. Don't run away. Don't talk about this doesn't make sense to me. This is all stupid. I want you to show me that, please. Go ahead. The mic is yours.
Yeah, I showed you word for word similarities between Quran and the ancient mythologies. So when you say that this is atheistic quackology, no, this is not atheistic quackology. Atheism does not have any say in science. Science is something that needs proof. And when you say Quran is scientific, You would have to give us the proof for Quran, and you don't give us the proof for Quran. You're running away from giving us any kind of proof for Quran. You're not giving us any kind of proof. And you are failing to understand that if a book contradicts within itself, then that book is basically proving just one thing, that it's a liar. That's all. Secondly, the burden of proof is on you, that you have failed to give us any kind of, you say that, okay, such and such thing is a miracle, and that's all. Man created from clay, that's a miracle. You cannot give us any kind of proof of that. Yeah, that any kind of proof of that wouldn't be possible, because that's just a lie copied from the ancient mythologies that I showed you on the screen. And you are asking me that show me, contradiction between modern science and the Quran, but I showed you similarities between Quran and ancient mythologies. Those ancient mythologies were written by people who were stupid, did not know anything about science, and Quran follows their example. It is not giving us any kind of scientific proof for what it says. It doesn't give us scientific proof that, yeah, there are missiles that are being shot at jinn. What kind of proof would you give me for that? Give me a proof for this. And secondly, all the rocks that are roaming around in our solar system, basically most of them have been mapped, and there are near Earth asteroids that we can see shooting by us. We can see long tails of them, but all of their paths have been mapped. So human beings are basically predicting that now a jinn is going and a rock is following it. This is what is happening with Halley's Comet all the time. And Quran cannot differentiate between an asteroid and a star. Quran cannot.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah. This will be the last round, and then we'll let Nadir, you'll have the last word, and then we'll go ahead and move to the Q&A. Go ahead, Nadir.
Okay. Yeah. So to answer your question about showing proof for the Quran, why the Quran is a scientific miracle. Yeah, you're right. I didn't really get into that tonight. I tried to start, but unfortunately I never got a chance to finish. So the only reason why I'm not showing you any proof is because I just kind of got bogged down answering all these other objections. But Ghalib, if you like, you can definitely invite me again for a debate on, is the Quran a scientific miracle? And I will prove to you tonight that the Quran is a scientific miracle. And so now the whole thing about whether the Quran contradicts itself, and I think we've had that discussion, but let's just go along with what you're saying. Let's just go along with it. From a scientific point of view, they really don't care. What the issue here tonight is, does the Quran contradict documented scientific fact, which we know to be true? And that's really the type of discussion I was looking to have with you tonight. But I think it was very clear you were not able to show anything like what you see on your screen. Can you please share your thing over there? Share my screen. I'm sorry. It says over here, and I just gave you another example. The Roman physician Galen, he made a scientific error. Blood formed in the liver, but science tells us that red blood cells form in the bone marrow. I can take an article from Science right here. I can compare it with a statement from the Roman physician, and I can any book of antiquity actually, and I can show a contradiction between the two. But you will never be able to do that with the Quran. So when you say, but I showed you that there's similarities between the Quran and ancient works. Okay, but what the problem is, if you're copying from ancient works, you're going to commit mistakes like you're seeing on your screen over here. You're going to copy their scientific errors into the Quran, and you'll be able to answer the challenge, which you are not able to do so tonight. That is why we say, look, this is just another evidence for the Quran to be a scientific miracle. I think this is something very amazing about the Quran. You will find many scientific references which agree, but not one that contradicts. Go ahead.
All right. So we'll go ahead and kick it into the Q&A with that last word from Nadir. So thank you both so much for that spirited conversation. Let me just go ahead and get the timer ready. And with that, I just want to let everybody know, thank you so much for the questions. We do have a little bit more room for the super chat. So if you do have a super chat and you want to make sure that your question gets asked to the debaters, then go ahead and send me a super chat now. And I will let you guys know when that list is too full to accept any more. So before we go to the Q&A, no more notes. Let's go ahead and start asking some questions. Let me start the clock right about now. Okay, so the first super chat comes in from Aziz Marani for $1.99. They say, go, Ghalib. Come on, go. Love you, Ghalib, sir. Got a fan out there, Ghalib.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you,
All
Maran
right.
Saab. Thank you. Yeah.
And then from Big Bad Mama for $1. This was a question and came in 2 parts, so I gotta scroll. They say, Nadir, do you believe that earthquakes, blizzards, hurricanes, and other destructive natural disasters are a punishment for the people they move this over? But the people they affect, like the Quran says.
Yeah, it's very possible. There could be many. It could be a test, could be a punishment. So there's a couple of ways you can interpret that. But I think what we have seen from tonight's debate, from a scientific perspective, the Quran is in complete harmony with modern science. There is no contradiction. Now, definitely, atheists have their own personal beliefs, and definitely the Quran contradicts their personal beliefs, but not from modern science.
Yeah. Should I answer it?
Got it.
Yeah. So basically, earthquakes have nothing to do with the sins of anyone, because there was a big earthquake that happened on 8th of October 2005 in Pakistan, in one of the most poorest places in Pakistan. That, it should have happened in some very sinful place on the planet. I don't want to name any place, but it should have happened somewhere else. But it happened there. Why it happened there? Because there are a lot of huge faults and fault lines going through the tectonic plates there. There's this subduction zone of Indian plate going under the Eurasian plate in the northern region of Pakistan, and it causes a lot of earthquakes in this region. And every 100 years we have huge earthquakes in Pakistan because of this, because of all these fault lines that run in this area. And Quran and Islam does say that earthquakes are because of sins. There are a lot of hadith there that say that in which the Prophet said that the earthquakes come because of the sins of people, but that is basically a scientific mistake, and it doesn't happen because of that. And Nadir, you were saying that there are a lot of I haven't been able to show you any contradictions. I gave you one contradiction between the 2 verses of Quran. You haven't been able to say anything about that. Yeah.
All right, let's let Nadir have the last word there because it was his question.
Yeah.
So as I said, it could be because of the sins, or it could just be a test. So no, and just because the Quran said, look, some people were punished because of their sins, that does not negate the science, which is actually causing these things to happen. No one ever interpreted the Quran like that. And as far as your last point about the contradiction, you were trying to show internal contradictions within the Quran. As I said, we could talk about that.
What's
I don't
wrong
have a
about
problem
that?
talking about it. But what I wanted you to show me an external contradiction between the Quran and documented scientific fact. And that was a challenge which you did fail tonight, as we have all seen.
Okay, let's move on. From UBI for 10 euros, I think. They say those articles about the heart have been taken out of context. It is talking about the patient's feelings and mental health after a heart transplant, not heart having its own feelings.
This is what I've been telling him.
Oh, the article stated very differently. I've read it word for word. I can read it to you again. We can go over it again. It states very clearly that the heart actually does think. In fact, I could share my desktop if I could real quickly here, and we can just go over it one more time. Okay. Yeah, here we go. The heart's brain neural circulatory enables it to act independently of the cranial brain to remember, make decisions, and even feel sense. Okay, now if you feel that this article is in error, then contact them. Okay, go to heartmath.org and contact them. Now, I also quoted, let me go to this article over here, and click on that right over here. Personality changes following heart transplant, the role of cellular memory. There are actually dozens of articles which talk about the heart thinking, about having neurons. And so what I would advise or you guys to do, write your own peer-reviewed articles. Write your own articles, get it peer-reviewed. And when the scientific community starts agreeing with what you guys are saying, no, the heart doesn't think at all, then I will say, look, then we are all wrong. Simple. Go ahead.
All right. It was
Okay.
pounds,
Do you want
euros.
Share my screen as well? I'm talking about the same paper.
Well, that was a question for Nadir, so we should move on. We'll get a chance to respond to another question.
Do you want my response, Nadir?
Yeah, I mean, it's up to the moderator.
You should make it
Whichever
real
one
quick. Let's
respond
make it
to
real
that.
quick. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so the same paper that he's talking about, it explains here the acquisition of donor personality characters by recipient following heart transplantation is hypothesized to occur via transfer of cellular memory, and four types of cellular memory are presented. Epigenetic memory, not the memory that the brain has. Brain does not, when we talk about the brain memory, it is not epigenetic memory. DNA memory, RNA memory, and protein memory. These are the four types of memory that a heart has. It does not have the cerebral memory. Okay, so these are the very research paper that you are showing me. That is the abstract of that research paper that I am showing you. The same research paper, personality changes following heart transplant, the sole cellular memory. It is not talking about the same kind of memory that is used in thinking. It is the epigenetic memory, the DNA memory, the protein memory, not the cerebral memory that is used in analytical reasoning and thinking.
Well, you were reading that into
Memorizing
the article.
someone's life event. No,
It doesn't
I'm
say
reading the
that.
same. I
It doesn't
read
say
verbatim from
anything.
here. I read
Okay,
verbatim from here.
Ghalib, we
You
really
did
must
not
let him
read
have the
it
last word because
abstract
it is
properly.
his question.
Yeah. Sorry, you did not read it properly.
No, Ghalib, I don't think the article contradicts anything of what I've presented. Okay, I don't see any.
You
But
want
like
me
I
to
said,
respond to
write your
that
own
again?
peer-reviewed
You want me to
article.
respond to that?
And when the article I quoted stated that it is in decision, in
The
making
same article
decision.
that you quoted, I quoted.
Okay, you can
Okay,
go
let's
ahead and write
let
your
him have the last
article
word
saying
so we
this
can
is
move on.
wrong, and then I will say, look,
Yeah,
we're
because
wrong.
I
Okay?
told the nature of
Okay.
memory that the article
All
is
right.
talking about.
Ghalib,
And you are
you
talking
do your
about
own
the
Ghalib,
nature
interpretation
of
of
memory.
science.
Ghalib,
Yeah.
Ghalib.
Okay.
I know,
Sorry.
but
Yeah,
just let him
yeah.
have the last word so we can just move on.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's move on.
Okay, let's move on. All right. So for the next question is from Zargos Ozkan for 199. They say, did the sixth lover split the moon in two, and how?
What?
Did the sixth lover split the moon in two, and how?
I don't even know what that means.
No? Okay, let's move on. Sorry about that, Zargos. From Aziz Marani for 199, they say, Nadir, sir, you can be great pseudo scientist, PhD.
Yeah, so I think what's happening here is the atheists, they're throwing rotten tomatoes. Okay, they're Ghalib here failed to show documented scientific fact which contradicted the Quran. Rather, he tried to resort to trying to show internal contradictions, which is kind of not really the topic. Then he tried to show, okay, well, it agrees with some of the ancient mythologies, things like that. So I think what's happening with the questioner here is that he's angry, and I think a lot of times in the question and answer time they're going to start lashing out because they did not like what they saw in this debate.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have read that one.
Yeah.
Like I said before,
I'm very angry.
we do have to keep it civil, guys. Attack the argument and not the.
Yeah. Now he's
person.
starting to attack me. Yeah, very civil of him. Thank you, Nadir, for attacking
I
me.
didn't attack you.
Yeah, you did.
How did I attack you?
Okay. From Bitter Truth for $5, they say, "Hi Nadir, you just misinterpreted science. Heart neurons that only fine-tune heart rhythm and
We're
protect
going
people
back to the
from
same
some."
issue. Let's move on.
I just had to finish it because it is a super chat. They did pay to have their words read, and it wasn't an insult. Protect people from some certain heart disease. Okay. Bitter Truth for $5. They say, Nadir, why do some patients get left sympathetic deinnervation surgery? Why do they cut the nerve connected to the brain?
I don't know. I mean, we're all going back to the heart thing, which I think has already been exhausted, and we just need to move on and get on to some other issue.
All right. From Fact Checker for $5, they say, Ghalib, make high Mary. I'm not sure what this means. I'm not going to read it anymore. Bitter Truth, they say, for $5, human-made blood clot in 3 verses. Explain this, Nadir. And Ghalib, please compare with medical science. So this is for both of you.
Sure. So what I can assure you is Ghalib will never be able to bring up anything from medical science. Rather, he will give his own personal insight. So basically, there is a verse in the Quran which talks about alaka. Now, from a scientific point of view, this has amazed the scientific world. Okay, let me present to you references showing the scientists who have actually talked about this. When the Quran compared the embryo to a word, the word alaka has three meanings. It means leech-like. It means a leech, something which is leech-like. It could be clot and something which clings. What astonished the scientists, in fact, let me go ahead and give you the name of those scientists, like Professor Keith Moore. Professor Keith Moore, TVN Prasad, E. Marshall. These are all scientists who have actually spoke on this verse. But not only that, but this article actually, you can the whole issue about the word clot has made its way inside the National Institute of Health. This is one of the most prestigious scientific journals in the world today. So here is the article right over here. Again, the scientists were astonished at these three meanings of the word alaka because every one of them is absolutely true about the human embryo. So I've presented to you three embryologists. I'm sorry, let me explain who Dr. Keith Moore was again. He is one of the world's most premier embryologists. And not only that, but other embryologists have also spoken about that. I've talked about TVN Prasad, E. Marshall Johnson. So many scientists have actually praised this verse for its scientific accuracy. And again, here's from WebMed Central. The same article about it being alaka was presented over there for the scientists to see. So this word alaka has won a great recognition from the scientific community. And when Ghalib gets up, he will not be able to present a single article to contradict what I'm saying.
You also did not give a single article to prove it. Keith Moore was basically hired by the Saudi Arabian king to write a book that proves that Quran is scientific, and it did not prove that even. His book is very old, and no one has been able to write another book like that one in the claims of Muslims, because people understood Islam after that, and he was the only one who got sold like that. Secondly, when Quran talks about embryology, it fails to account for the female's role, and it does not even mention the role of the egg of the female. It talks that women are your fields. That's it. It doesn't talk about the female egg at all. Even in the embryological miracle that you're talking about, I challenge you to show me the role of the female egg that has more genetic information to create a human being. I challenge you to do that right now. Mm-hmm. Tell me that where Quran mentions the female egg. It doesn't mention the female egg because Muhammad only knew things that were known at his time. The pseudoscience of his time, he knew that. And most of the embryology that is mentioned in the Quran is copied from Galen. I can explain that, but the time wouldn't allow that. But all of that is copied from Galen. And the Greeks, the ancient Greeks, 1,000 years before Islam, 800 years before Islam, knew more about embryology than Quran tells us. I challenge you on that. There's not enough time to explain it, but we don't need to give research papers to show their contradictions. We would only need to show more information in the ancient Greek knowledge, and those are not revelations. Those are the knowledge of human beings. That is the knowledge of human beings that they learned. Quran copies Galen's embryology, but there were other Greek philosophers and scientists who had more knowledge about the development of a child in a woman's womb. I can
let me respond to that very quickly. So you're basically trying to open up a new debate. You made a lot of unsubstantiated claims, wild conspiracy
theories. The time wouldn't allow that. The time wouldn't allow that. If the time allows, I can show you that.
Okay.
I can show you
I'll actually answer your egg challenge.
Because it would take 10, 15, 20 minutes for me to show that.
Okay. I don't want to have guys. I don't want to have talking over each other, but I do. I'm going to let Ghalib have the last word on this one, just because he's not going to get a lot of the last word in all these questions. So I'm going to let you finish, Nadir, but I'm going to let Ghalib come back and have the last word if it's not a question.
Yeah. So go ahead, the fraudulent comment and accusation you've made against Professor Keith Moore. This is nothing but wild conspiracy claims. This is atheist pseudoscientific quackology. Now, you have accused him of being paid off, but I've quoted 3 different embryologists. So I will challenge you here. Before, if you are going to make accusations against people, you should back that up with evidence. Can you show me a CNN article or something from the news showing that he was paid off to substantiate your wild claims?
Yeah. The only thing that we need to show you is some ancient writing from the Greeks that explains
That's not what I
embryology
asked you,
better than
Ghalib.
Quran. Yeah, because there are many
You
that
made an
explain
accusation
embryology better
against
than
him.
Islam.
You
Yeah,
made an
yeah,
accusation against him.
yeah.
Back it up with
Yeah,
evidence.
but that's yeah,
Okay.
because
He's running away.
he was the personal physician of King Fahd. Yeah, that is
All right.
when, and his book was distributed freely on the streets of Paris by the Saudi embassy.
All
Yeah,
conspiracy theories.
it's found,
Okay.
anyone can find these articles on internet. Yeah.
All right. Let's
and
move
secondly
on.
and secondly, just one sentence, the embryology in Quran, we can find better embryology than Quran in the ancient texts. We don't need any kind of scientific paper from now to prove that Quran is wrong, because the ancient embryology proves Quran, even because they had more knowledge about embryology than Quran. Yeah.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on. From Bitter Truth for $5, they say supernatural is just a face saving. Ghalib, this is what happening by modern Muslims. Nadir, your explanation is disappointment.
Yeah, it's definitely a disappointment to the atheist pseudoscientific quackologist. As I said, the Quran is incomplete. It is contradicting atheist pseudoscientific quackology. But as I have pointed out to you from a scientific perspective, and I've given many references showing that the scientific community has no problem with miracles. The scientific world, science says nothing about miracles. So for sure, there is a conflict between the atheist way of thinking and but that's not what I'm here to discuss. We have come here to discuss from a scientific point of view. So and as I was pointing out to you from a scientific perspective, that they have pointed out that they're completely comfortable with the concept of miracles, but there's no way you can really test it to prove that it really happened or something like that. So anyways, go ahead.
All right. From Fact Checker for $5, they say, Nadir, why have you changed science with miracles?
In the Quran, there are verses which talk about the natural science, and then there are also the verses which talk about the supernatural. The problem here is that Ghalib basically focused on nothing but the supernatural verses, like the creation of Adam. That's a supernatural creation. That did not happen naturally, how Adam was created, okay? So what I did, I pointed out to you what was a scientific position on miracles. And there is no contradiction, there's no conflict between the scientific world and the concept of miracles. So that's something which atheists have to bring their will to accept.
Gotcha. From Bitter Truth for $5, they say Muhammad flown on donkey, counted donkey, 600 wings in microseconds, pray in masjid. I'm not sure what this word is. AQSA, and
Aqsa.
flown Aqsa,
Masjid al-Aqsa.
and flown to 7 skies. Ghalib / Nadir both reply.
Yeah, so basically, this is a logical fallacy as ad ridiculum. He's engaging in this into this fallacy. He's trying to show that if the opponent's position is too absurd to be taken seriously. But notice what's going on over here. We're veering away from the science, and we're moving into atheist pseudoscientific quackology. To the quackologist, of course, they're going to have problems with the Quran. They're going to have problems with all these teachings. Well, I have a problem with atheism. Atheism also teaches some really crazy stuff, like, for example, how this whole universe originated. I can laugh at that too. They say basically there was nothing and then something came out of nothing. So in the same way that you can mock and ridicule my beliefs, well, we can do the same thing to yours. In the end, what does this prove? Nothing. What we are seeing here is a retreat from the atheists. They were not able to produce a contradiction between the Quran and modern science, but rather this was a contradiction between the way they view the world. So that, and I think that's where this discussion is headed to. So they're really running away from the science.
Gotcha. And Ghalib?
Yeah. So first of all, it wasn't decided in the way that Nadir thinks the question is Quran scientific? And we have to only prove that it is other than scientific. This is what I'm doing here. I am proving that it is ancient mythology. And the question also came from this person who asked the question, that what about the sky journey of Muhammad to the seven heavens on a donkey like creature? So the problem is, this story, even the story of Miraj, is copied from ancient Zoroastrian tale of Arda Viraf Nimak, where the Arda Viraf goes to seven heavens, looks at what is happening there, meets with the god Mazdak in the end. This is also copied from there, and this is what I am trying to prove here, because all religions, all of them, though it be Christianity, Judaism, anyone, they copy from older religions, and this is what Muhammad also did. He copied from ancient religions. This is not science. This is basically all of that I've explained today is basically ancient mythologies. It's not science. It has nothing to do with science. And when we have these stories in ancient books, and Quran is explaining that once again, like the story of Miraj or the story of Isra and Miraj and all of these other stories, the interpretation of these stories has already been done in those ancient books. And if you want to understand what those stories mean, these stories mentioned in the Quran, you would have to read those ancient sources, and you would understand more that where the Quran is coming from. And Muhammad is basically doing plagiarism at that time. And there were no fines and punishment for plagiarism at that time. That's why.
Yeah. Okay,
He
so
escaped with that. That's all. That's all.
let me say
Wait,
something
Nothing
very
more
hold
to
on.
that.
I want
Yeah.
to let everybody know right now. Fair warning: we have more super chats than we have minutes left in the Q&A.
Yeah.
So I'm going to
Yeah.
push these
Okay.
guys to get
Okay.
all of these questions answered, but we're going to
Sure.
try to get these short and pithy. Can we move on, guys? Okay.
Sure,
great.
sure.
Bitter Truth for $5. They say God made this universe 6 days. Sahih Muslim 2789 Hadith tells the days. Nadir and Ghalib reply, "Isn't this error?"
No, not at all. So, but I like where we are going to now. Where we are actually headed to, they're getting out of the science. They know that they cannot win the debate on science because the Quran is in complete harmony with science. So, what they're trying to do, I think, is they're trying to show some kind of internal contradiction. They're trying to there's ridiculous teachings, stuff like that. They're trying to smirk, mock, ridicule. So of course, I don't like it, but I am glad to see them retreating away from modern science because, as we have seen tonight, Ghalib was not able to make his case from that. Rather, he's trying to basically rest his arguments on plagiarism, plagiarizing from ancient sources. But this really wasn't the topic for that. I mean, we came here to talk about science, but that has already been refuted, I think. And he's been, and what was the real, I think, blow to his whole argument is if you copy from these ancient sources, then you will copy the scientific errors into the text, like as I've shown from Galen, where he talked about the blood liver, after the blood is made in the liver. You're going to make mistakes like that if you copy from those other books. But we don't find that in the
Yeah.
Quran. And that is
Quran
one
made
of the
those mistakes.
miracles of the Quran. And
Quran made those mistakes.
we've asked him to show those scientific errors, and he was not able to do so. In fact, he failed. In fact, the exact examples he was trying to give as scientific errors about the sky having a ceiling, about the sky falling, about I forget what the other one. They all actually agree with science. The scientists are actually saying the exact same things which we read in the Quran. So there were miserable fails which actually backfired on him. It actually showed the agreement between the Quran and science. But like I said, and I didn't really understand much more about that 6 days, but go ahead, Khalid.
Okay, so you said sky can fall. You show me a piece of the sky and I will make it fall. Yeah, that's my challenge to you. You show me a piece of sky, the sky that you're claiming, show me a piece of that sky and I'll make it fall down. Yeah, this is my challenge. You show me the piece of that sky. And what was the question? Can you repeat it? I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
God made this universe in 6 days from Sahih Muslim 2789 Hadith tells the days. Isn't this an error?
So So the problem is this universe is 13.8 billion years old, and our Earth, according to Quran, the Earth was created first, then the mountains, and then the sun and the moon. The problem is, Earth was not created before the star. Quran in Surah Anbiya says that earth was created first, then the mountains were created, then the sun and the stars were created. But that the problem is that earth was created only earth came into being only 4.6 billion years ago. So I am debunking Quranic quack cosmology here. Basically Quranic quack cosmology, basically I'm debunking it here. The order of things is extremely wrong, because the order of things is that 13.8 billion years ago the Big Bang happened, 9 billion years ago the Milky Way came into being, 4.7 billion years ago the sun, and then the earth, and later on the moon came into being. All the mountains that you see on the face of earth today are less than 100 million years old. Yeah.
Well, so one of the biggest mistakes he's making here is, if you listen to the questioner, he was quoting Sahih Muslim, not the Quran. So, but anyways, like I said, that can be very
I talked about the Quran. I gave reference to Surah Anbiya.
All right. Let's move on. From Fact Checker for $5. Nadir, what do you think about James Webb, as we are getting information close to Big Bang? So where is the sky and Allah?
So I don't make that affirmation that the Quran is specifically referring to the Big Bang. I know that people do argue that. Yeah, I mean, it could be very possible that it could be referring to the Big Bang, but I just don't think there's enough evidence. But going back to the creation of the earth, the creation of Adam, if you read the Quran, as I said, you've got the science falls into two different categories. You've got the supernatural, and then you've got the natural. For example, there's many, and this is also another important point. When the Quran talks about how the world naturally works, Ghalib ran away from all those statements about how the world naturally works. For example, the Quran makes four statements about the natural science of the bees, three statements about bees, two statements about alcohol, and the list goes on. It talks about the science about the natural world. But we didn't hear any of that tonight. Rather, we talked about the supernatural. The earth, Adam, this is something which was supernaturally created by the very hand of God. This is what we as Muslims believe. From a scientific perspective, that's perfectly fine to argue that. In fact, I have a reference over here where they say how the earth was actually created is still a mystery. Science doesn't know a whole lot about it. However, in fact, let me get that reference for you real quick. So when the Quran says, look, that the earth was made from a miracle, as a miracle, again, this is something which is an agreement with modern science. And of course, now I think what's happening, I think Ghalib is taking some cheap shots. I don't have the opportunity to refute every point because we're in the question and answer time. But let me just show you that reference over here. How did the earth form? It states over here the formation. This is actually, I'm quoting from the website space.com. The Earth's formation remains strange and is a scientific mystery. From the following Axios article, the Earth's formation is a long-standing mystery. So when Allah says in the Quran that, in the following article over here, space.com, again, scientists still aren't certain how planets are built. So when Allah says, look, this was something created supernaturally, referring to the Earth, this is consistent with what we know with scientific data, as I've shown you from the references on the screen.
Okay, from Bitter Truth for $5, they say, the moon split and joint back. Nadir, please show me the evidence. Ghalib, please reply on this.
Yeah, so this is, once again, we're seeing that where the atheists are running to. Talking about the earth splitting, this is a great miracle which God did through Muhammad. Why are we talking about miracles? You know why? Because Ghalib and all these atheists you see in this question period here, they're all running away from the natural science of the Quran. You know why they're running away from that? It is in complete harmony with modern science. The Quran makes dozens of statements about the natural scientific world and how the world works and things like that. Pretty much nothing of that was discussed in this debate because they cannot argue their case from that. Rather, they're going to the miracle statements and they're saying, look, the Earth's, or the moon split. Does this moon split naturally? No, it does not. The Quran made it very clear, or actually this is found in the Hadith, that this was a supernatural event. So once again, it is in complete harmony with science.
All right,
So when you
Ghalib?
say that when you say that it is a supernatural event, so I hear la 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 la. This is what I hear because you have no explanation. You are just making a claim.
Oh no, are you still there?
If something is true, you can give proof for that. And this miracle never happened. And let's say if the moon was split, you know, if the moon was split, moon being such a large body, a significant gravity on our Earth, if the moon was split, there would be a gravitational anomaly that would have a substantial effect on the oceans of the Earth. There would be some tidal shifting going on, and a lot many people would be able to see it. No one saw it. There's just one claim from the Muslims that someone in India saw the moon split. No one in Turkey saw the moon split. They were just above, and on the same longitude, on the same latitude, but no one saw it. No one saw it in Italy. It was very close to that place where where Arabia is, nearly, not many latitudes away from that. So no one saw it. So that's just a lie. That's just a lie. This miracle never happened. Or otherwise, if it happened, it was an illusion that Muhammad did, and someone was fooled by it. And the Muslims continue to choose to be fooled by it. That's it.
Can I answer real quick? I'll take it very quickly. So he tried to get into the science of what would happen if the moon was actually split, and I would agree with that. If this was to happen naturally, then all the what you have described would happen. But what you're not getting is Islam made it very clear this is happening supernaturally, just like how Moses split the water. This is again one of the many miracles. So he said, well, basically, if the moon split,
miracles are lies.
We would have.
Let's move on. Okay,
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay. For fact checker for $5, they say, Nadir, please explain about Muhammad's journey to the seventh heaven on a donkey. Please explain.
Yeah, no, it wasn't on a donkey. Once again, they're engaging and mocking and ridiculing. This is, again, we're seeing here what is a retreat from the atheists. Are running away from the science of the Quran, the natural science of the Quran. The Quran made many statements about seas, bees, oceans, and alcohol. And it actually went into the science of these things. Why are they running away from that? You know why? Because it is in complete harmony with modern science. So now what the atheists are doing, they're trying to go into the miracles and the miracle statements. Like, for example, whether you want to talk about God taking Muhammad, on a specific creature up to to Jerusalem. These are all miracle claims. The moon being split. Why do these things happen naturally? No, it doesn't happen naturally. But in atheist pseudoscientific quackology, they deny miracles. Because in their quackological at the Academy of Atheist Pseudoscientific Quackology, it states over there that miracles can never happen. That's fine. You can have that belief. But this is not a scientific position. I came here to debate science. But we're not debating science. We are debating plagiarism. We're debating internal contradictions. We're debating everything but science, because they cannot argue their case from science, because the Quran is in complete harmony with science.
All right. From Search for Truth for $5, they say Islam sanctions incest, cousin marriage, consanguinity. I'm not saying that word correctly. Marriages among couples who are related as second cousins or closer. That's just a statement, so I'm not gonna. We'll move on from that. Let's go ahead. Fact checker for $5. They say, Nadir, science has no time for these stupid religious science. They have to do some positive things. So that's also a statement. So we're going to move on from that one. Aziz Morani for $4.99. They say, my uncle says that when a person get big beard on his face normally gets brain dead. Is that true?
Yeah, can I answer that real quick? So this guy, Aziz Marani, he's spending a lot of money here to basically make comments of insults and abuse towards me. And
let me just finish his statement. Donkeys, flying, sky falling. What is all this? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Like I said, what this debate proved tonight, those atheists got hurt in this debate. So now they're lashing out. They're throwing rotten tomatoes. They're not engaging in intelligent discord. discourse. They're not really engaging with the arguments which they've heard tonight. And so I see this as a positive sign. They saw something in this debate which they did not like. And so now there's this guy spending a ton of cash trying to insult me, and that's perfectly fine. I don't think it's going to do any damage.
All right, so we've got 4 seconds left on the clock, guys. I've got 11 questions left on the list. Can we do some overtime?
Yeah, we can do some overtime. Yeah, I'll be glad
to. One question I do get
Nadir, Nadir, if you can, it's up to you.
Sure. Yeah, but you know what we should do? We should do a debate on, is the Quran a scientific miracle, Ghalib?
But you already promised a debate with me on slavery in Islam.
Will you accept that?
Yeah, I will accept that.
Let's do it.
Okay. Yeah, we will do that.
All right, so from fact checker,
let me get back to you on that.
Okay.
All right, for $5, they say, Nadir, science has no. Oh wait, I'm sorry, that's a copy. From Aziz Morani, so only 10.
How much did you spend this time?
No, I'm sorry. From Bitter Truth for $5, they say Kashmir earthquake, mosque collapse, and poor people with fasting in Ramadan dies, but rich people sinner were okay. I'm sorry.
This earthquake happened in Ramadan.
Okay.
Lots of mosques collapsed.
Yeah, this is a philosophical issue. And
let me just finish reading it.
We have to respect the people who sent the comment. Yeah.
Yeah, let me just finish reading
explaining that.
Rich people sinner were okay. Was that a blessing on them, Nadir and Ghalib?
Yeah. Again, we're once again veering off from the topic of science and getting into the issue of why do bad things happen to good people. That's a philosophical issue, and I'll very quickly answer that. Remember, I said this could be a punishment. This could also just be a test of some kind. I thought I made that very clear. So, but what I'm hearing the question and answer period, and I'm really liking it. What I'm seeing from Bitter Truth and from the other people is that they're not able to challenge the science of the Quran. What they're doing in the question and answer time is that they're trying to throw a Hail Mary attempt. They're trying to find some way to salvage this debate to try to show Islam is wrong.
It has been lost. It has been lost. I agree.
And I like that.
I agree. I agree. It has been lost.
and I think the part which really, how shall I say, sent the message home was the great challenge I presented, that you should be able to present, if Muhammad was copying from pagan sources, and we looked at a pagan source from Galen, you will find scientific contradictions in the Quran. You should be able to get a scientific reference and juxtapose it with the Quran and show the contradiction. Ghalib was not able to do that tonight, and I think that really sent the message home. Now that's why they're lashing out.
Internal contradictions that you haven't been able to answer.
Okay, we can talk about contradictions, Ghalib, but that doesn't answer my challenge.
You are clueless how to answer that one. I'm sorry. You're my brother, but I'm sorry. You're clueless how to answer the internal contradiction of Quran.
Okay, see, Ghalib, look, my point to you is whether the Quran engages and has internal contradictions is a very different topic from the challenge.
Because when someone has a contradiction with their own words, then they are a liar. Then they are a liar, because contradiction only proves one thing, that you are a liar.
Ghalib, this is not the topic of tonight's debate. That's the problem.
Yeah, because this is contradictions 101. If you contradict with yourself, you are a liar. Because
we're not here to determine if the Quran is a liar. That's not the topic, Ghalib.
Yeah, Quran is not scientific. Quran is a liar. Quran copies from ancient mythologies.
Ghalib, that's not the topic.
Quran is a plagiarism. A book based on plagiarism. Yeah, that's it. That's all. What I wanted to prove.
Allegations.
You think I was trying to prove something that there are so many other things in the Quran? I only had to prove that Quran is not scientific, but rather mythological. Lot of contradictions in it. This is what I wanted to prove, and I have been successful in that.
Well, you've successfully.
You're a little riled up. I have a mask. You cannot see my smiles. I really love you.
Well, both smiling. That's a good thing. I like that.
Yeah, I keep smiling, but I cannot show my face. That's why you think I'm angry. I'm not angry. I'm very happy.
I know you're smiling, and I'm happy to see that.
I do want to remind everybody in the chat that we are now in overtime. So the list is closed as far as questions. I'm not going to add any more to the list because the gentlemen on the screen now have generously volunteered to stay past the time to answer more questions, but I'm not going to add any more to it. So if you've sent more super chats, if you need to send James an email about that, then I'm sorry, but I did leave a warning, so that'll be up to him if he wants to issue any kind of refund on that. So the next question from Fact Checker for $5. Nadir, I wish the next Nobel Prize you get by proving science in the Quran.
Well, that's going to be the next debate. I hope Ghalib will accept that challenge. Is the Quran a scientific miracle? And right now we just checked to
First,
see
we would
does the
have to
Quran.
talk about the slavery one,
Oh yeah, we can do both.
So
Slavery
stop,
and
yeah, stop challenging me on that one right now. First, we do the
Okay.
slavery one, then we do this one.
Definitely. Okay, so then you'll do the science one after that. So that debate's coming up, and you got to stay tuned for that.
All right. From Varun for $2, they say, Nadir, can you please show proof of the moon splitting?
I can know whether the moon split. We don't have to show proof for that. The issue tonight is, does the Quran contradict science? The Quran makes many claims tonight. I mean, many claims. It doesn't have, every religion makes many different kind of supernatural claims. This is one of the many miracles. For example, Moses split the sea. Is there any proof for that? No. From a scientific perspective, is that okay? Yes. From an atheist,
That also never happened.
pseudoscientific, quackological perspective, is that okay? No. I have already conceded tonight. The Quran contradicts atheist pseudoscientific quackology. I'm accepting that tonight. But from a scientific perspective, it is absolutely acceptable. This is one of the miracles which the Prophet Muhammad did, and science is totally cool with miracles.
Miracles are not science, Nadir.
I
This
didn't
is
say
what
that.
I wanted to prove, and I already proved that. You know, if Quran has miracles, then Quran is not scientific, because miracles are not scientific. Miracles are pseudoscience, quackology. You know, the word quackology that you're using, that is specially reserved for miracles. You know, there are so many people that are doing miracles today, even in Pakistan. They're all quacks. Yeah, that's why Quran is a book of quackology. Yeah, not science, quackology.
All right. From Can Use a Pack for $2 Canadian, they say Quran says bones form before flesh in embryos.
Yeah, it does. It does. It does say.
All right.
No,
and
it
from
doesn't.
Oliver,
It doesn't
And
say
that's
that.
wrong. That's wrong, because the bones develop later on. Yeah.
No, the Quran doesn't say that at
It
all.
doesn't. It
Okay.
does say that. It does say that. If we
Okay,
had
can you
time,
show
I'll
it
show
to
you.
us? Ghalib,
Yeah.
can you
If
show
you had
us?
time,
Yeah.
I can show you.
Okay, well, we'll have to debate that another time. Let's
Yeah, maybe
go
we
these
can.
questions.
well,
Yeah.
from Oliver B. Perez for $5, they say, Nadir, can you prove God exists? Can he be summoned or roused to show himself? How can I find him without dying?
Yeah, I believe what we can prove that the Quran is a scientific miracle. What this means is that the Quran makes many statements which agree with modern science, which scientists have only recently discovered today, and this knowledge was not available 1400 years ago. So now the question is, how could a man 1400 years ago have this kind of knowledge? How could he do these things? And so this is an evidence for why God exists. Now, does God talk? Can I bring down and summon God? I cannot do any of that. So as I said, in this life there is a test, and there we have to pass that test. And you can know that Islam is true because of the scientific miracle. And we're going to do that debate after the slavery debate, which Ghalib was mentioning.
All right. From Zagros Ozkan, they say for $1.99, 6 lava, arrow over to Muhammad. How did he split the moon?
We're going back to that. So the issue here, this is a miracle which took place. I think we've already talked about moon split. Let's just move on. Let's not whip this dead horse.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Bitter Truth for $5. They say Nadir Alaka. Problem: why Keith Moore didn't convert to Islam? Embryo stages, no blood roll. This is your own interpretation.
Embryo stages, no blood. I don't understand the last one, but the whole thing
Why
about
didn't he convert to Islam, Nadir? Can you please tell us? Why
Okay,
he remained a
sure.
Christian?
Yeah.
Why he remained a
Well,
Christian?
okay. So wait
Died a
second here.
Christian, buried in a Christian grave in a Christian cemetery. You know.
What his beliefs are, okay, from what I understand, he believes the way majority of the world kind of believes. many people, they do accept Prophet Muhammad as a true prophet. They do accept Jesus. But what they believe is that it doesn't matter if you have to go, if you're a Christian or a
Yeah.
Muslim, it doesn't matter if you go to church or a mosque. So
So
long as
he,
you're a good person, that's good enough. You can be a good Christian and go to heaven. You can be a good Muslim and go to heaven. Now, I don't know exactly how much of that he actually believed,
yeah, because
but a lot of people will embrace Islamic theology, Islamic beliefs. And so, but they don't actually make a conversion in Islam because they don't see that need. Because now this, of course, is not a right belief, but majority of the world actually do that. But it's undeniable. I mean, what Ghalib did, he slandered Dr. Keith Moore. Okay, he slandered
yeah,
him.
I'll do that again. I'll do that
And
again.
he presented, all these conspiracy theories. But the issue, it's not just Keith Moore. I have already presented to you, articles from actually from the NIH, the National Library of Medicine, where the whole issue about embryology in the Quran was submitted to them. Okay, and they in fact, let me show you the article right over here. NIH, National Library of Medicine, they do not publish quackology. I can tell you that right now. Okay, here we see a Muslim brother, a sister actually, submitted the article, and they went ahead, and I don't know their peer review process, but they went ahead and published it, and they found it to be very interesting about the science in the Quran. But like I said, it's just not him. Many embryologists have come forward, not just Keith Moore, who have went on the record and said what the Quran says about embryology is absolutely amazing. And remember my prophecy. I said Ghalib will not be able to present any references to support his case, because his case is nothing but conjecture and slander and I don't know, just kind of a nefarious view on all of
Yeah,
this.
should I respond to this now?
Yeah.
Very short response. So Keith Moore believed in the scientific miracles of Quran, but never believed in Islam as being true. He believed in the truth of scientific miracles of Quran,
Well, we don't know
but
that.
never believed that Islam was true. He
Where's your
never cared
evidence?
about Islam enough
There's no
to
evidence.
accept Islam. He never accepted Prophet Muhammad as the prophet, because if he believed that Quran had so many scientific miracles in it, and he wrote a whole book explaining those miracles, then he might have been so stupid to not believe in the book and the prophet that brought that book, even though he had all the reasons to believe in the miracles of Quran. So this proves that he was a hypocrite, nothing more than that.
He's just
He
slandering
was a hypocrite. Yeah, he's a
member from
he-
the scientific community.
Tell me, why didn't he believed in?
Well, we don't
Quranic
know what he
miracles, but
believed.
So
There's an
why
argument
didn't
from
he believe?
silence.
Why didn't he convert to Islam if he
I've already
believed in the
explained it to
Quranic
you.
miracles?
It's
You
all
didn't.
been
You
explained
didn't.
to you.
You
God, you're
didn't.
just engaging in slander.
No, I'm not engaging in slander. I'm just, and I have nothing against you,
Do you have
Nadir. I
any
love you.
proof
You are my
for
brother.
anything you
I have
say?
nothing against you. If you are
Yeah.
understanding me wrong here, I'm really sorry. My only idea is to discuss the claims that you are making. And you made a claim about this Dr. Keith Moore.
Yeah.
And you said that he was the one who proved the Quranic miracles. And I'm trying to explain the logic to you that if he was such a believer of Quranic miracles and such a believer that a devout Muslim like you is quoting him.
Yeah, I explained it to you.
That guy did not believe in Islam even then, so
Well,
he
we
might
don't know
have
what that's
terribly
what
stupid,
you
so
are
why should
making.
we believe
The
in
mistake you're making. We
believe
don't
in
know
the
what he
Prophet?
believed. Okay, we actually don't know what he
We
believed.
know that he's buried in a
Okay.
Christian cemetery.
Okay, well, show you got to show. Yeah, that actually proves nothing. As I told you, many people who they embrace Islamic theology, but they remain Christian. Okay, many people believe in Muhammad as a true prophet, but they have this belief that it doesn't matter if you don't have to be be a Muslim. You don't have to go to church to be good.
So they
You don't
were
have to go to mosque to be good. Just continue as a good Christian. Believe in all the prophets. Don't commit shirk, and I'm going to go to heaven.
okay.
Millions
I'm
of
not
people
going to
believe
reply to
in
this
this.
one. We can
So
move
that
to the next one.
explains why about Keith Moore. I
We
mean,
can move
we
to the
don't,
next one.
but at the end of the day, we don't
Guys,
actually
we can
know
move
what
to
he
the next
believed.
one. I'm not going to reply to this one.
Okay, let's move on to the next one, shall we? From Can Use a Pack for $2 Canadian. They say Nadir, Quran sperm from between backbone and ribs.
Yeah. So I'm liking this one. So basically, what we're seeing is that this is they're trying to find some way to salvage this debate. I like these type
You know,
of
the
desperate
debate
attempts.
is lost,
You know?
Nadir. Debate is lost. You
Okay.
don't need to explain
Okay.
it
Well,
again and again.
anyways,
It's
so
already lost,
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
already
So
lost,
let me go ahead
Just
and
don't go
Okay.
there. Yes,
All
we
right. All
don't
right. All
need
right.
to
All
keep
right.
repeating that
yeah.
one.
No, I like what, like I said, I like what I'm seeing here. You know, they're trying to find some way to find some error in the Quran, and so that to me, I see that as being very promising. They're not really engaging with any of Ghalib's arguments. I mean, that's something which is really good. So, anyways, let me go ahead and very quickly answer this issue about the backbone and the ribs. So basically, the verse. In fact, I don't know how much time I have here. So.
Well,
Yeah.
we still have some more questions. Can you just give them a real quick and pithy?
Yeah. So basically, I'm going to go very quickly over here. That if you look over here, science today tells us that the backbone, we understand the backbone and the ribs to be this chest cavity. But science today tells us that there's also another area of the backbone and the ribs. It's right here. You've got the rib right here, and you've got the backbone going all the way to the tailbone. Now, semen shoots up through this tube over here. Where's the tube? Called the vas deferens, right over here. And notice where it's located. Right between the X and this is wrong. This is X and Y axis, right between the backbone and the ribs. The ribs are up here and the backbone is over here. So once again, we see the scientific accuracy of the Quran.
Okay. And
Yeah,
from
the semen. Just one statement. Semen is born in the testicles. Yeah, that is where it comes from. That's all.
Through the vas
We don't need a peer-reviewed paper to show that. It's all in the books of medical anatomy.
Shoots up through the vas deferens.
Yeah.
The vas deferens is between the backbone and the ribs.
Okay, you can say that.
And then from Varam for $2, they say, Nadir, did the sun set in muddy water today?
Yeah, if the Quran says that the sun goes into murky waters, then this is of course clearly wrong. But that's not what the Quran says. The Quran says that the sun taghrib into murky waters. And what this means is that this is the way it appeared to be. So the Quran, once again, is in complete harmony with science. There's no contradiction here. But like I said, if you could show me where it actually says yadhabufi, which in Arabic means it physically goes into murky waters, Quran is wrong. And I will and I'll stand by that statement. But you'll never find anything like that in the Quran.
Okay, so that's all the questions from before I gave the warning. And then I gave the warning, and then people still kept on sending a super chat. So I've got 9 more questions left. We're gonna do double overtime.
Okay. It's okay with me. Nadir.
Well, let's do one more question. I get going. It's like 10:30 over here.
Okay.
One more question.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna do the question that people that was the most expensive one. Pineapple platypotamus. They sent a $20 super chat.
$20?
Yeah. Oh, well,
Nadir, people like you. They can send $20 for you. They love you. I also love you.
Well, thank you, Ghalib.
I'm gonna read that one. Thank you so much, Pineapple platypotamus. I've had many Indian friends, and I'm a Christian. Is this God, or is this just my wanting of Indians being my brothers and sisters in Christ?
I don't know how to answer that question, but one question I will ask you is, why don't we, irregardless of whoever you think won or lost this debate, we'll leave that up to you, but at least I'm here. At least Muslims are here to debate science in the Quran. Christians
and we thank you for
do that. Christians will not come forward and debate the science inside their book because they know that there are many scientific errors in the Bible and it's indefensible. And in fact, I challenged David Wood. I've challenged many of these Christians like Christian Prince and people like that. They all ran away. So at least we are here debating that.
Yeah. All right.
Nadir, you invite someone to debate on the Bible, and I'll join you against the Bible.
They're going to run away.
I'll be in your corner. Against the Bible.
Well, the Christians will never come forward to debate science in the Bible because they know it's indefensible.
All right, I've got a chatter that is insisting that they set their chats before I issued the warning. Is there any chance that you can take 2 more?
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm so sorry. From Argan Cooper for 10 Canadian. They say, Nadir, you cited the journal Medical Hypotheses, which has a very low bar of rigor because it is precisely for hypotheses rather than reports of thoroughly investigated experiments.
I did not cite medical hypotheses.
You did.
Which
I can
one was
show
that?
it again. The same one. It's the journal of medical hypothesis. It's not the same thing that you were
For which
saying.
argument? At least not that I know of.
The
Which one are you
same.
talking about?
Should I show it? Can you show my screen?
Yeah, show your screen.
Show my screen. So this is a journal of medical hypothesis.
I didn't.
This is not
That's your
this is
article.
not confirmed science. This is the same article. This
That's
is
not my
the
article.
same.
That's
This is
your
your
article.
article. This is your article. The same title, the same journal.
That's not
This
my
is
article.
yeah. This is your article. This is your article. I showed the same article
Yeah.
that you showed. I
Let me show
mentioned
you
it
my article.
at the same time. Yeah. Basically, this was published in the Journal of Medical Hypothesis. Yeah.
What I quoted you, I believe it was
Yeah.
something called
Read the
cardiac.
title of that. Read the
No, I
title
didn't.
of that.
Okay, sure.
And
Let
I
me
can
get you to
show
my
you that
article. Hold
this
on.
is the same one. This is the same one.
Okay, no, I did not. Let me show you mine real quick, okay?
Yeah.
Just to settle the matter here. Give me 1 second. The article which I quoted is something called heartmath.org.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I am showing the journal. You are not showing the journal. You are showing a website. I am
Yeah.
showing the journal. You are not showing the journal. You are not showing
okay.
the journal.
What
I
you
am
posted.
showing the journal.
Okay, let's move
You
on.
are showing a
this is-
website that
Okay,
refers
okay.
to the journal. I showed the journal, and it's
There-
a
it
medical
doesn't
hypothesis
reference that.
journal, not a journal that is accepted scientifically. This is not explaining an observation. This is giving a hypothesis. I explained it then, but there
Okay.
was there wasn't
I am-
enough time, so I did not explain it properly. But this
But
is a
look,
medical
even if
hypothesis.
that is true, even if let's
Yeah.
just go along with what you're saying, the point here is the scientific community is learning as we go. They're learning about how
Yeah.
the heart thinks, how the heart makes
Yeah, so
decision
that's-
making, and
So you are
these things.
making
So you
claims
see-
on something that the scientific community is still learning. Yeah.
Right. They're making okay. So, but what I'm saying is this is something which is actually confirmed. But what I'm actually I'm saying, even if we were to agree with what you're saying, there is a science are now researching this about how the heart thinks. Therefore, you really cannot
but this
claim
is-
scientific error.
You
If
claimed
we
it
were to
as
accept what you're
established
saying.
science. You claimed it as
Yes,
established
it
science.
actually is
not.
science. I'm saying
It is
if
not.
we
It is
agree with
not.
what
It
you're
is
saying.
hypothetical right now.
Okay.
Hypothesis does not mean a scientific fact.
I did not
that is
present
the
you a
very
hypothesis.
definition of
I didn't do
scientific
that.
hypothesis. You did
Oh my
that.
God, I didn't do that. I did
You
not
did
present any
Yeah,
hypothesis.
people can
okay?
watch the debate again later.
Oh my gosh.
Okay,
All right. let's go.
When people have memory lapses due to dementia or Alzheimer's, do you think brain is the organ of investigation in scientific studies or the heart?
For Alzheimer's,
Should I answer it or he should answer
Yeah,
it?
I would say for brain. Yeah, why not?
It's for him, for Nadir.
Yeah, it's for brain.
All right. All right. I really am conflicted, but you guys have to go, right? So
yeah, we
No,
can
then
do some
let's go.
very quickly, then we can. I gotta get going.
I'm so sorry. $6.99 from Shiraz, Canadian. They say, if all non-scientific statements are supernatural, doesn't it make Quranic claims unfalsifiable?
Okay, so basically, the point which I was trying to make over here is that, in fact, let me very quickly share my desktop over here just so we can see what science actually says. First of all, when we talk about miracles in the Quran, they are not unscientific, okay? Unless you have your own personal definition of what science is. So once again, I'll just show you very quickly here. We'll go to miracles. Let's go there real quick. And this is, I'm quoting from the website, Science, How Stuff Works. It says over here, this places certain topics beyond the reach of the scientific method. That's what miracles are. Science cannot prove or refute the existence of God or any supernatural entity. Now, of course, the statements in the Quran about miracles happening, you cannot prove or disprove that. You cannot prove or disprove Jesus walked on water, Moses splitting the sea, Muhammad splitting the moon. These are statements of supernatural. And as we can see over here, science is okay with that. And from the following article, it says over here, because science has nothing to say about the supernatural world, does not mean that it denies the supernatural world. Atheists do that, but not scientists. So I think.
Okay, should I respond to it very quickly?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure.
Okay, so when you say, is the Quran scientific, and then when it mentions miracles and miracles are unfalsifiable, untestable, there's no testability criteria for testing a miracle. So this means that Quran is unscientific. So the question was, when Quran mentions miracles, is it unscientific because it's unfalsifiable? Yes, it is unscientific because it's unfalsifiable. And anything that is unfalsifiable and lacks testability criteria is basically unscientific. And that was the question of the debate today. And this proves that Quran is unscientific because it is unfalsifiable and lacks the testability criteria for miracles. Yeah.
But that's not the
Yeah,
definition of scientific.
Yeah,
You've come up with your own definition. In fact, I can share my screen right here. I have a definition of what unscientific
you can
is.
basically any scientific. I'm talking about a scientific fact. If you talk about a scientific fact
this
and
is just
try
basically
to
from
present
the.
miracle
I'm
as
just
a
going from the
scientific fact,
dictionary.
and it has to go through the testability
What
and falsifiability
unscientific
criteria.
is, okay, it is not in accordance with scientific principles or methodology.
Yeah.
I
So
quoted scientific
falsifiability.
hold on, let me
Falsifiability,
lacking
testability is
knowledge
the
of
scientific
the interest
methodology.
in
It is the
science.
scientific principle.
We
This is
can't
what I'm
talk over
trying
each
to explain.
other. We can't talk over each other. Okay. So the point
I'm
here
sorry,
is,
I'm sorry.
we can go through many. This is just one of the many definitions of what unscientific is. So I actually quoted scientific methodology in the 2 articles I presented about their position towards miracles. They're perfectly fine with that. From a scientific community, you will not find any of them claiming that miracles are unscientific. The only people who do that are atheist people. That's their personal belief. So you are confusing your own personal dogma with science. Many atheists think, okay, just because I'm an atheist, I'm a scientist. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah,
so I think you gave
that's
your
atheist
own
quackology.
definition.
You forgot to mention. That's atheist
You gave your own,
quackology.
yeah, well, that's true too.
You forgot
gave
to
your own
mention.
definition of what's unscientific. Okay.
Okay, I'm just going to rattle these 3 off real quick, nonstop. I'm not going to pause in between them just so we can get them all out of the way and everybody's happy. Okay. Can use a pack for $2 Canadian. They say Nadir, 1666. Milk comes from between feces and blood. Bitter truth for $5. They say God sends jinns. They fought to each other. God sends angels to limit the jinns. Then God created Adam. Nadir, show me the evidence. Rational mind, $10. They say Nadir just takes everything out of the natural world to this metaphysical realm and then goes on to claim anything in that realm because that's the world of miracles. So that's all the questions.
Yeah. So basically what we're seeing here is people are trying to raise all these other objections against the Quran, but none of them are borrowing or even from Ghalib's stuff. Ghalib was here for almost 2 hours. Notice none of them are buying into what he is saying. And these are his own followers who are asking these questions. So what this shows is that they were not convinced by anything he's saying. So they're coming up with these other issues like feces between, I think the milk coming between the feces and the blood or something like that. Definitely we could debate that, but I think we've kind of ran out of time. But I'm very pleased with what I'm seeing from the atheists, that they're not buying into Ghalib's arguments. And to me, that's a very reassuring thing. They're trying to now present other objections. What they're trying to do, they're trying to salvage this debate.
That's why I hate all atheists. I hate all atheists because of
the Quran, and I like what I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Okay.
I forgot the questions. So the milk comes from between the feces and the blood. That's just stupid. It comes from the mouth.
Actually, it's scientifically correct, but we'll get into that later.
It's not.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's it. Everybody got their questions asked. I really appreciate you guys for sticking around for a double overtime Q&A. That's insane. But this was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And very spiritual.
I really like to thank Nadir. Nadir,
thank you.
We love you. You are brother. And thanks for coming up for this debate because, the dialogue must go on. And I really thank you.
Thank you, Ghalib, for appearing. Yeah.
And I want to thank any of the moderators in the chat that were there. Thank you to James.
Yeah, thank you, Kaz, as well. Thanks, Kaz, as well, for moderating us today. It's a pleasure.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
Right.
And everybody who sent in the super chats, all of you guys, thank you so much for elevating the conversation. Thank you to the debaters. You both are the lifeblood of the show and everybody else. So if you liked it, like it if you love it, share it if you want to spread it.
Click.
Many more juicy debates coming your way. King Crocoduck versus David McQueen, October 21st, 5 p.m. Like and subscribe. You don't want to miss it. And we have many more debates coming your way. Our speakers are linked in the description below, so click those links, check them out, do it right now. Thank you, everybody. Have a great night, and remember, keep sifting out the reasonable from the unreasonable. We're out of here. Good night.